At exactly 8 in the evening, breaking news interrupted the broadcast to announce a shocking piece of news that shook the entire region. The television broadcasted the tragic news stating the death of the S-class mage, Lee Seo-jun, in the line of duty. Lee Seo-jun was fighting an evil dragon that suddenly appeared in the center of Seoul, and he met his demise while attempting to suppress the monster known as Kruas. This young mage, 25 years of age, had begun his career in 2034 and was beloved by the public for resolving countless incidents, prompting the country to announce the erection of memorials for him everywhere. While the public was drowning in deep shock upon hearing the news of his death, a young man sat alone in a dark room in front of the screen and turned off the TV with a trembling hand. The young man appeared to be in a state of disbelief, muttering that what was happening made no sense. His body collapsed onto the sofa in weakness as he wondered how the story's protagonist could die at this stage of events. Horror was painted on his face as he tried to convince himself that it was just a lie. He recalled the image of Lee Seo-jun, whose death had just been announced, that genius mage who carved his way through battles, and the young hero whom all eyes had been watching throughout that era. But the most important truth dominating the young man's thoughts is that his former classmate is the protagonist of the novel, The Modern Wizard, that novel which forms the foundation upon which this entire world was built. He believed that if things went according to the original plot, there would be a happy ending, and he would be able to return to his real world. But the appearance of the dark dragon and the death of the protagonist changed everything. The young man wondered in astonishment and fear about the reason that led to the protagonist's death at this timing, and anxiety began to seep into him regarding his upcoming fate, as his hopes of seeing his friends again after the novel's end faded away. His memory returned to an old scene in a crowded bar, when his friend posed a hypothetical question. If one were to reincarnate as an extra character in a novel, would they monopolize all the hidden benefits for themselves? Opinions were divided back then, as one girl asserted she would do so without a doubt. But Kim Sun-woo had a different opinion, as he rejected the idea completely, describing it as madness. He justified his stance by saying that interfering without reason might lead to death at the hands of the protagonist, meaning an immediate game over. He added that he wasn't confident in his ability to endure the hardships and diligence the protagonist exerts, a point his friends agreed with despite their sarcastic manner. Everyone raised their glasses to toast his realistic yet annoying words. At that moment, his phone vibrated in his pocket. He took it out to see a notification that he had won an event, which surprised his friend. The message was from the novel's author, congratulating him and offering him a ticket to a very special place, with the option to accept or decline. His friends got excited, thinking it was a tourist trip, and considered it a stroke of great luck for him. And while he was wondering if the destination was overseas, he pressed the accept button with his finger. And that was how it happened 7 years ago, when he suddenly fell into a magic circle, finding himself transported inside the novel he loved reading, the novel, The Modern Wizard. The young man sat clutching his head in confusion and pain, unable to believe how the story's events had twisted in such a sudden manner. He had always been careful not to change the original course of events, so he settled for staying outside the main story and observing it from afar to ensure the integrity of the plot. While he was drowning in his thoughts, the TV screen in front of him began to distort and emit strange sparks, which aroused his intense astonishment. He stood up from his place, wondering about the reason for this sudden malfunction at this specific timing. He barely finished his question when the glass cracked and a bright light emitted. He screamed in terror as he saw reality cracking around him. His eyes widened in shock as his body began to fade amidst the light. And outside, the scene was horrifying, as people and buildings began to decompose into shards of light as if the entire world was collapsing. The young man screamed at the top of his lungs, wondering why this disaster was happening. Red system windows appeared before him announcing the devastating news. Lee Seo-jun has died. Therefore, all main scenarios are considered failed, and due to the impossibility of completing the story, the system announced the start of a world reset, amidst the astonishment of the young man who could not comprehend what he was reading. In moments, the world around him shattered like a broken mirror, and his consciousness faded amidst the scattered fragments. Suddenly, a sharp voice pierced the silence of the darkness, asking him to wake up because he had arrived at the academy. He opened his eyes to find himself inside a bus, with the driver shouting at him impatiently because he was late getting off despite their arrival some time ago. He jumped from his seat apologizing in confusion, having been stopped by the word student the driver had just called him. He got off hurriedly while in a state of utter confusion, for he was certain he was in his room moments ago, so how did he wake up suddenly on a bus? He looked at his shoes and feet as he walked, recalling the feeling of the world collapsing he had just experienced, wondering if it was all just a dream. Otherwise, what is the explanation for what is happening? He raised his hand to block the bright sunlight that greeted him immediately upon descending, only to see before him a huge building decorated with banners welcoming students to the entrance ceremony of Korea Magic Academy for the year 2032, the place he had previously graduated from. He froze in place with shock written on his face, for the year 2032 was 7 whole years ago. He looked at his clothes and body in disbelief, finding himself wearing the school uniform. He contemplated his hands in astonishment, and the crazy truth began to seep into his mind, that he had returned 7 years into the past. Inside the grand hall, loudspeakers blared, welcoming everyone and asking students to take their places to begin the ceremony. He walked through the crowds feeling dizzy, muttering that he was going to lose his mind from the strangeness of the situation. He looked around right and left, finding that every detail matched exactly what happened 7 years ago, making him realize there was no escape from admitting it. And he confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt that he had returned to the past. While trying to comprehend the situation, the most important question jumped to his mind. Why did Lee Seo-jun die in the future? According to the original novel he knows, there was no logical reason for his death in that battle. Even the attack of the dragon Cruus and its rampage was going exactly according to the original flow of events, and the protagonist was supposed to succeed in suppressing it after a desperate fight. His gaze shifted to seriousness and suspicion, concluding that there was another hidden reason behind the protagonist's death that was not mentioned in the story. He slumped onto the seat weakly in the middle of the hall, whispering to himself in despair that he had no answer for what was happening. Kim Sun-woo sat in the middle of the hall thinking deeply about the dire consequences that would occur if Lee Seo-jun died in this life as well. He wondered anxiously whether he would return to the past again, or if the world would end completely this time. He reached one indisputable truth, which is that Lee Seo-jun must not die at any cost. He clenched his fist with determination, realizing he needed to take actual and effective steps in this life, even if his only goal was to return to his original world. He looked intently towards Lee Seo-jun at the front, and resolved to prevent his death no matter what it cost. To achieve this, he had to ensure reaching the end of the novel, so he began executing his plan immediately. He decided to get close to the main characters, so he waved his hand to the girl sitting beside him, greeting her with a friendly smile. This girl was Yu Ah-ra, the student ranked second in the second year. She looked at him coldly and asked if he knew her, muttering disapprovingly about his behavior as if he knew her even though they had barely met. Kim Sun-woo became confused by her sharpness and she asked if he had something to say, so he answered in the negative, stammering. She turned her face away from him in annoyance, asking him to look away because his staring made her uncomfortable. He smiled nervously while wiping sweat from his forehead, realizing that the task of getting close to these elites would not be easy at all. His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the announcement calling for the class representatives to ascend to the platform. 3 students went up amidst the whispers and admiration of the audience. Eyes were focused on Lee Seo-jun, the first place holder in the second year, as everyone praised his amazing aura and his direct training under Chairman Kim Jin-chul. Lee Seo-jun was famous despite being a student, because the novel The Modern Wizard revolved around a superpowered hero who does everything alone. The top female student of the first year also appeared with her striking beauty. But Kim Sun-woo realized with his experience that her smile was carefully studied, because her true goal was direction and control. As for the third student, it was the senator, the first place holder for 3 consecutive years, who looked surprisingly ordinary. Kim Sun-woo admitted to himself that he didn't know much about this person, as his presence was very minimal in the original novel. The 3 stood to perform the student oath. Young Kim Sun-woo felt his psychological tension increasing as he noticed Yu Ah-ra's sharp and burning gazes towards the platform. He decided to seize the opportunity to score some points with her, so he commented in an audible voice saying that it was truly a pity. She turned to him, her eyes glowing sharply, and asked if he was directing his words to her. He confirmed that, so she asked sarcastically what exactly was a pity. He pointed towards the platform and said honestly that he believed she was better than the 2 standing there. She gave him a cold look and mocked him, saying he was funny, asking what he knew anyway and if he had seen them use magic before. He retreated in fear, waving in denial, so she scolded him for speaking about what he didn't understand. But he surprised her with his calm reply while looking directly into her eyes, saying he could tell just by looking, which astonished her. Kim Sun-woo smiled confidently while trying to win Yu Ah-ra over, claiming he had a strong intuition that never missed. But her reaction was completely contrary to his expectations, as she looked at him with disgust and asked sharply if he was mocking her, to which he replied with a playful denial that increased the intensity of the situation. She exhaled in annoyance and turned her face away from him, ignoring his attempt, making him realize that his method was not working, so he decided to change the subject and try another approach. He suddenly asked her if she was worried about her career path lately, which made her body shudder with surprise, wondering in her secret thoughts with astonishment how he knew that. The girl looked at the name tag pinned to his chest to read Kim Sun-woo. Suddenly, her eyes glowed a scary red, and she told him in a cold voice that she remembered his name, but she warned him strictly against speaking to her again from now on. Kim Sun-woo stood stunned and embarrassed, clapping his hands together as he admitted to himself that he had failed miserably from the start in his plan to get close to the important figures. Meanwhile, the new semester began with the placement test, a tradition resembling an introductory ceremony where students reveal their true abilities in front of the entire school. Tension and anxiety prevailed among the students, as one expressed his extreme fear to his colleague, considering himself doomed compared to the skills of others, while the other tried to calm him down. In contrast, Kim Sun-woo was observing everyone with a confident smile, describing them as cute children, while setting his sights on a single goal, entering the top 10 in the second year. He based that confidence on his experience from his previous life, where he received offers for promotion to B class, and thus felt that settling for an average level in front of these students would wound his pride. Yu Ah-ra noticed that strange smile on his face, and muttered, wondering about the reason for his behavior, while Kim Sun-woo was preparing to showcase his professional skills in front of everyone. The displays began with the first-year student who released her magic with power and speed, smashing the training dummies with crushing blows that left no trace of them. The students were amazed by her level, which far exceeded her age, describing her skills as insane. Then came the Turn of the second year, and Yu Ara was called, stepping forward confidently igniting a ball of flame in her hand. The girl released a massive fire explosion that destroyed the target in an instant, amidst flying debris and flames, provoking the shock and admiration of the audience who wondered in astonishment if she was truly the same age as them. One student commented on the scene, thinking that Yu Ara is considered a legend in her own right, but Lee Seo-jun's existence is the only reason that always overshadows her brilliance. Lee Seo-jun stepped forward and drew his sword with a blinding flash, moving with insane speed between the dummies, tearing them apart with superior skill and extreme precision. The dummies fell shattered simultaneously amidst the students' cheers and dazzlement. Kim Sun-woo looked at Yu Ah-ra, finding features of frustration and jealousy on her face despite her amazing performance. He realized she felt oppressed because the first place is always snatched from her by Lee Seo-jun, who possesses the skills of a professional mage, causing her permanent frustration. Finally, the teacher called the second-year student from Class A, Kim Sun-woo. The young man rose from his place with enthusiasm and a broad smile, announcing that his turn had finally come. The teachers wondered about his identity due to not remembering him because of his weak presence in the previous year. Even his class teacher barely remembered him. One teacher reviewed the records to find that he possessed a talent for reinforcement magic, but she was surprised he went up empty-handed without any weapon to reinforce. The teachers assumed he might have changed his specialization to manifestation magic, something some students do occasionally, while Kim Sun-woo stood before the dummies steadily. He began gathering blue energy in his hand, while the teacher muttered with regret about students who choose what they like instead of what they truly master. While the teacher was commenting on his appearance, which seemed more ordinary than expected, her colleague agreed with her, but she soon noticed something strange about the student. Suddenly, energy began to gather in his hand and rotate at an amazing speed, raising an astonished question whether he was using the compressed manifestation technique. It is the first stage of manifestation magic, but it requires an advanced technique to compress the manifested mana for precise control in the next stage, which is release. It is a technique that only veteran mages dare to use, making the scene completely unfamiliar. Shock and astonishment were painted on Yu Ah-ra's face, and even the hero, Lee Seo-jun. The teacher could not believe that a second-year student was capable of using a technique of this high level. A beam of blue energy launched with tremendous force, piercing the air to hit the targets in front of him. Students and teachers stood spellbound watching the training dummies. But suddenly, instead of a final explosion, the magic faded with a faint and funny sound, triggering a wave of laughter among the students who mocked him, thinking his energy ran out and he couldn't complete the release phase, wondering about the point of manifestation without release. Kim Sun-woo stood frozen with embarrassment, muttering that he was done for, while blue windows suddenly appeared in front of him. Windows kept appearing amidst his astonishment, and he screamed internally, wondering why the system opened at this specific time. Later, he sat in his room sighing in relief, surprised by the timing of the window opening. In his previous life, the system didn't open until much later than this, and he seriously wondered about the reason for the difference this time. His memory went back to the moment of the test when the messages appeared before him. The system had announced unlocking interloper benefits and fully activating the system. The main scenario began, and he received the achievement, Second Round of Life, and its reward of 3,000 points, followed by a strange achievement titled Clown Talent, which granted him 5,000 points. The system told him that 232 people remembered his face now, granting him an additional 1,000 points, while he was running in the background escaping the students' mockery. Also, the character Lee Seo-jun showed interest in him, in addition to 4 other main characters, earning him another 3,000 points. He sat on his bed, unable to believe he collected 10,000 points in this short time, realizing that using these points required unlocking interloper benefits. These benefits are a privilege unique to him as a person possessed into this world, where the achievement system was activated, allowing him to check information via Windows. He can earn points through accumulating achievements, and also through the fame system whenever he becomes more known. His favorite part is the point shop, which allows him to buy traits, skills, and items, which he considered an overpowered and unfair system. Despite his happiness with the points, he felt resentful of the title Clown Talent, imagining himself in clown clothes amidst student laughter. He realized then that he forgot an important fact, which is that at this time in the past he severely lacked mana, and that was why the magic failed and faded in that embarrassing way. Nevertheless, this was the first time he received wide attention in both his lives, and he got points too, even if he was still unconvinced by the clown title. He decided to check his current power and asked to open the status window. The window appeared showing his name and points, but the shock was in his meager stats. Health 42, Strength 34, and Mana only 21. He screamed in astonishment, wondering where all his previous investments went, realizing his stats had been completely reset. Kim Sun-woo screamed in heartbreak while trembling, wondering when he would be able to raise his stats that returned to 0 again. But he stopped suddenly with a look of realization shining in his eyes, comprehending that he now holds a golden opportunity to redistribute his points and build his abilities anew in this life the way he wants. He recalled in his mind the 4 types of magic existing in this world: reinforcement, manifestation, support, and summoning, where reinforcement magic specializes in strengthening the body and weapons for close range, while manifestation magic is the traditional magic that relies on manifesting spells and releasing them. As for summoning and support, they focus on conjuring creatures and providing magical assistance. Sunwoo had chosen manifestation as his specialty for a very simple reason, which is that it looks cool and attractive when used, making him laugh shyly at his superficial motive. Since he chose this path, he decided to give top priority to raising his mana stat. Suddenly, the system voice interrupted him to announce that 350 people remember his face now, granting him 1,000 points as a reward. His eyes widened in surprise, wondering how the number increased by 50 people in this very short time. He realized then that his foolish behavior like a clown during the test was the reason behind this rapid fame, meaning points would continue to increase, which he considered a good situation. Indeed, he soon raised his thumb enthusiastically, considering it a wonderful and amazing situation. He barely finished his sentence when a new window appeared telling him the number reached 400 people and a reward of 2,000 points, causing him astonishment, for how do more people than the entire school's student count know him? He checked his phone to enter the Great Sage Forest community specific to the academy, and there he found the reason. A video titled "Crazy S-Class Mage Scandal" had spread like wildfire, and comments were pouring in with mockery and accusations of corruption and bribery to enter the academy. Although he felt embarrassed by the comments, receiving an additional 5,000 points made him smile with satisfaction. Sunwoo greedily wished more people would enter to watch the video to increase his points. He focused all his attention on the phone, his eyes shining with greed, planning to exploit these points to buy a specific item he aspires to. The next day, he entered the academy amidst the whispers of students who recognized him immediately as the owner of the viral video. He didn't care about their looks, but rather encouraged them in his secret thoughts to talk more, as the view counter exceeded 1,500 views, meaning his endurance of embarrassment all night was worth the trouble. While he remembered the comments accusing him of illness and weakness, he was laughing madly with overwhelming happiness, for he earned another 5,000 points thanks to these insults. He opened the classroom door, and silence prevailed for a moment, before whispers began circulating his name again. Suddenly, a student broke this atmosphere, pointing at him sharply and shouting, "You there!" The blonde student approached him and put his arm around his shoulder rudely, mocking his funny performance yesterday and how he made everyone laugh hard. While his group was laughing in the background, another student asked him sarcastically how his mana ran out that fast, hinting that his family must have paid a bribe to accept him into the academy. Sunwoo immediately recognized this student. It's Park In-hwan, the character who played the role of the bully and madman in the beginning of the original story. Sunwoo sighed in annoyance, realizing that getting involved with this type would bring nothing but trouble, so he tried to ignore him coldly. But Park In-hwan didn't let him go, but tightened his grip on his shoulder and brought his face close threateningly, giving him the nickname Troublemaker, and ordered him to run to him immediately whenever he called him by the name Tsuki, or else he would make his school life a living hell. Before the situation escalated, a calm and firm voice intervened, ordering Park In-hwan to stop. Everyone turned to see Lee Seo-jun standing with stern features, scolding the bully and reminding him that he warned him previously against harassing others. Park In-hwan retreated with annoyed features, mocking the genius who tries to play the hero role, while commenting sarcastically that ordinary people like them have nothing to do but obey quietly. Park In-hwan glanced at his opponent with a sharp look full of threat, before ordering his group to leave, saying, "Let's go," leaving behind an atmosphere charged with tension. Whispers prevailed among students in the hall, while Lee Seo-jun turned towards Kim Sunwoo, asking him with concern if he was okay. So Sunwoo answered him briefly and thanked him. Lee Seo-jun continued his conversation to confirm Sunwoo's identity, referring to the video that spread of him the previous day. Sunwoo laughed with tension and confusion, trying to pretend things were fine, but inside he felt severe embarrassment, wondering how he would live with this shame after the video spread widely. Lee Seo-jun noticed his anxiety, so he reassured him, saying there was no need for excessive worry, emphasizing that the blame lies with the malicious person who posted the video, not him. As Lee Seo-jun was about to leave, Sunwoo suddenly stopped him, calling his name. With a look full of seriousness, Sunwoo surprised the hero with an unexpected request, asking him to join his team. Sunwoo's eyes shone, thinking that this was his golden opportunity to be on the same team as the hero in the first class of this semester. Signs of astonishment and disapproval appeared on Lee Seo-jun's face, who asked him surprisingly why he would choose him. Sunwoo approached him with a sly smile, whispering that this alliance would be beneficial for Lee Seo-jun as well. Lee Seo-jun stood thinking for a moment with his hand on his chin, trying to comprehend this strange offer. But he soon raised his hand, apologizing with a diplomatic smile, and told him apologetically that he had never considered him as a teammate. Sunwoo did not give up at this rejection, but hastened to say that there were two good reasons making it necessary for Lee Seo-jun to ally with him specifically, so the hero asked him curiously about those reasons. Lee Seo-jun smiled and decided to give him a chance to explain. Sunwoo raised his finger confidently, explaining the first reason, that he occupies the last place in the entire second year. Lee Seo-jun laughed sarcastically, asking if this was considered a convincing reason for an alliance. Sunwoo explained intelligently that there is an equivalence point system in joint tests, and that if the first place holder allies with the last place holder, the team's total points will rise automatically. Lee Seo-jun realized the logic of the talk, but muttered that the risk is still too high for him. Here Sunwoo put forward the second reason, pointing out that the rival Yu Ara had already chosen two low-ranking students for her team. He explained that Yu Ara specializes in large-scale attack magic, enabling her to carry the team even with two weak members, which Lee Seo-jun agreed with. Suddenly, Sunwoo raised 3 fingers, provoking the surprise of Lee Seo-jun, who remembered he spoke of only 2 reasons. Sunwoo pointed to himself with his thumb with a broad smile, and told him that he is, in fact, very skilled for a person in last place. Lee Seo-jun burst out laughing, admitting that Sunwoo is a funny and interesting person. Lee Seo-jun agreed enthusiastically to form a team with him, while Sunwoo cheered internally for the success of his plan. But Lee Seo-jun soon corrected himself, saying he had a condition, which brought back looks of confusion to Kim Sunwoo's face. The hero held Kim Sunwoo's hand, shaking it, and said that he is the one who will choose the rest of the team members, asking him if he minded that. A system window appeared announcing that the character Lee Seo-jun is deeply intrigued by Sunwoo, granting him a 2,000-point reward, while Kim Sunwoo agreed to the condition. The scene shifted to the lecture hall, where the teacher began explaining the origin of magic artifacts dating back to the 14th century and how the system differed from the current 4 systems. She directed a question to the students about the reason that led to the collapse of that rigid binary structure in the past. Kim Sunwoo raised his hand high with confidence in the middle of the hall, ready to answer the teacher's difficult question. He began listing information accurately, explaining that Holgeum was the first reinforcement-type mage to appear in the 18th century, and that his appearance was a shock to medieval mages who believed in the superiority of manifestation magic, leading later to a research explosion in this field, which impressed the teacher, who praised his excellent answer. Sunwoo sat quietly while thinking that classical magical theories and complex formulas are considered difficult even for the genius Lee Seo-jun, but for him, it is completely different, thanks to the interloper advantage he possesses. All basic information appears to him and explains texts automatically, making studying an easy task. For this reason, he was confident in his superiority in written exams more than anyone else, smiling with satisfaction as he took down his notes. His excellence did not pass unnoticed, as mocking whispers began to spread among the students in the back, sarcastically describing him as Hermione, the character famous for her excessive intelligence, wondering about the point of his diligence in theoretical lessons while he sits in the last place practically. Sunwoo heard the mockery of the cowards, so he muttered to himself in anger, daring them to raise their voices if they felt jealous instead of whispering like cowards. The class ended, and the teacher announced the start of the lunch break, so the students rushed out of the hall. And while Sunwoo was walking alone, a voice calling his name stopped him, so he turned around in surprise. It was Lee Seo-jun calling him, as he approached him with a friendly smile, inviting him to have lunch together to celebrate becoming teammates. In the cafeteria, and while they were looking for an empty table amidst the crowd, another student waved enthusiastically from afar, calling Lee Seo-jun to join him. That student was Shin Young-jun, one of the main characters in this world and the protagonist's close friend. Young-jun welcomed his friend, joking about his lateness, before noticing Sunwoo's presence with him. Sunwoo assumed that Lee Seo-jun had separated from his usual group because allying with high-ranking ones reduces team points. But soon, Young-jun recognized Sunwoo's face, pointing at him in amazement that he was the owner of the viral video everyone watched, which Sunwoo confirmed with an embarrassed smile. Young-jun asked curiously about when the two became close, so Lee Seo-jun answered that they just agreed, and that they would go to explore the dungeon together the day after tomorrow. Young-jun seemed confused, not comprehending what was happening. He leaned towards Lee Seo-jun, whispering, and asked him seriously if he was confident in his ability to snatch the first place even without the handicap buff he gets when allying with the last placeholder, wondering why he went through this trouble. Lee Seo-jun's features changed to seriousness, explaining that the rival Yu Ah-ra is seeking to win fiercely this time. Young-jun was shocked when he heard that Yu Ah-ra had already included 2 low-ranking students in her team to boost her points. The 3 sat down to eat, where Sunwoo tried to engage in eating, ignoring the tension of the situation, while Lee Seo-jun agreed that Yu Ah-ra is a character with a sharp temperament. Meanwhile, a beautiful student passed near their table and stopped suddenly when she noticed Sunwoo's presence, remembering he was the person whose video was posted in Great Sage Forest. Her friend asked her what she was looking at, so the girl named Seo-yun-ah became confused. She denied the matter quickly with an artificial and bright smile, claiming it was nothing. But as soon as her friend turned away, Seo-yun-ah's look changed to a sharp look full of suspicion, wondering in secret how this person managed to get close to Lee Seo-jun. The scene later shifted to the training hall, where students were training on using magic. Sunwoo stood alone, focusing his energy, deciding to try again to control the amount of mana precisely this time to execute the manifestation and release stages successfully. He gathered blue energy in his hand with intense focus, then released it powerfully to launch like a stable magic projectile, hitting the target successfully this time. Whispers spread among the students present in the hall, as some expressed their surprise that Kim Sunwoo's performance was not as bad as they expected, but rather admitted he was better than they thought. Sunwoo wiped the sweat from his forehead with a sarcastic smile, telling himself that he could hear all those comments clearly. He went back in memory, in his past life, when planning to distribute his points. He used to buy stats directly using the points he earned, but he collided with the fact that the cost of buying basic stats increases by 10 points for every 10 purchases, which is similar to the difficulty of leveling up in games the more you advance in rank, making continuing direct purchase extremely expensive. He realized now that relying on buying stats only is not a sustainable solution, and decided instead to search for traits or items that help him raise mana gradually. He opened the point shop and began searching for the word mana, browsing the long list looking for a specific trait that appeared in the middle of the original novel. And finally he found his goal, the trait Nature's Protection of Grade A, which grants him a passive effect to absorb mana from nature, and an active effect called Nature's Blessing that increases mana acquisition by up to 150% depending on the surrounding environment, and its price was 50,000 points. He did not hesitate to buy it given its strong effect in accelerating mana growth. He didn't stop there. but also bought the Returner's Watch of Grade B, an item that increases health and mana regeneration speed by 200%. And to provide the necessary points for these expensive purchases, he had to sell the Master of Cooking trait of Grade A that he inherited in this life. And despite feeling some regret, he was confident that his investment was in the right place. And thanks to the combination of Nature's Protection and Returner's Watch, his starting point in this life became much faster than it was before turning back time. The vibration of his phone cut his train of thoughts, sparking his surprise due to the lack of anyone who calls him usually. He opened the phone to find an invitation to join a chat group named Group 3, including Jung Jin-tae, Lee Seo-jun, Yoon Ha-young, and Shin Ji-hyuk. Sun Woo looked at the names in confusion, for he knows none of them except Yoon Ha-young, wondering if the rest were of low rank. He remembered that Yoon Ha-young would become a pivotal and strong character later in the story, but at this time she hadn't realized her potential yet, so her current role is still small. Lee Seo-jun started the conversation by asking everyone to specify their main magical specialization so everyone would know their roles. Responses followed. Shin Ji-hyuk specializes in support, Yoon Ha-young in manifestation, ice element, and Jung Jin-tae in reinforcement. Sun Woo's turn came, who wrote honestly that he specializes in manifestation with no specific element, to which Ji-hyuk replied with a sarcastic joke pointing out that the entire school knows that already because of the viral video. Sun Woo felt annoyed and embarrassed and pressed the phone hard while writing a brief reply, stating he was saying it for information only. He lay back on his chair thinking about the upcoming strategy. The plan requires making Lee Seo-jun the main attacker, while the rest support him. But to achieve first place, they have to outperform Yu Ara's team, making him wonder curiously about the members she chose in her team. Meanwhile, in the outdoor training ground, a student was releasing her magic with tremendous power. The teacher stood watching her and giving critical notes, pointing out that she focuses too much on control and neglects release, and advised her to pump more power into the mana and make it launch faster, while Yu Ara was releasing a devastating fire spell, provoking the astonishment of the students present who described her power as insane. The teacher watched her performance with admiration, admitting in secret that her skills are amazing and her talent is innate. But she realized that Yu Ara, perhaps due to her young age, still needed polishing. The teacher noticed that Yu Ara's use of mana lacked efficiency slightly despite its power. Suddenly, the teacher turned in shock towards another direction, where another magic beam launched with high precision and control. The teacher looked at the source of the magic, to see Kim Sun-woo smiling confidently after executing his spell, and the teacher commented in a tone of satisfaction that it was not bad. The teacher remembered when Kim Sun-woo used to pour all his focus on the manifestation stage only, leading to his stumbling and failure in the release stage. But now, and despite the meager amount of mana he possesses, he managed to achieve a perfect balance between control and release, overcoming the mistakes of his past life. The teacher watched his performance closely, admitting in secret the difficulty for a student his age to realize his flaws and fix them with this proficiency. The teacher ended the lesson and thanked the students for their efforts, announcing the conclusion of the specialization class. The students dispersed feeling relieved for the end of the hard training, while Sun-woo decided to leave to rest as well. But before he walked away, the teacher's voice stopped him calling his name. She approached him and asked with interest if he had been keeping up with his training lately, so he answered in the affirmative, confirming he trains in his spare time. She continued her questions intelligently about mana cultivation, noting that he does that regularly too, right? Sun-woo realized immediately that she noticed the obvious defect he had. His technical skill is very high compared to the modest mana capacity he possesses. Sun-woo acknowledged the correctness of her observation. The teacher smiled gently, advising him that mana accumulation does not rely on tricks, but requires continuous effort and long patience. Sun-woo got excited and showed his readiness to work hard, only for the teacher to interrupt him by extending her hand towards him. She presented him with a small bracelet, telling him it is an auxiliary tool that helps regulate mana breathing and maintain the body's condition. Sun-woo hesitated for a moment, wondering shyly if he had the right to accept a gift like this. The teacher reassured him not to feel the burden, as it is just an F-rank tool she made for training and didn't cost her much. Sun-woo thanked her gratefully, promising to use it well, while she bid him farewell to leave the place. Sun-woo walked in the corridor rejoicing at this unexpected loot he obtained. Suddenly he glimpsed Yu Ara standing leaning against the wall and staring at him with sharp looks. He tried to lighten the atmosphere and asked her playfully if he was allowed to speak to her now, referring to her previous request not to speak with him. She ignored his sarcasm and asked him directly about the truth of his joining Lee Seo-jun's team and how she knew about that. She accused him sharply of trying to exploit Lee Seo-jun, the first ranker, to climb on his shoulders, but she announced defiantly that the first place would be hers this time no matter what happened. She gave him a final look, telling him to be realistic, then turned and walked away. Sun-woo stood stunned by her reaction, wondering seriously about the reason for her excessive sensitivity and hostility towards him. Thursday morning arrived, and Sun-woo arrived panting at the gathering site at the forest entrance, thanking God for arriving on time. Lee Seo-jun welcomed everyone with a bright smile, noting that this is the first time the entire team gathers, and urged them to do their best in the first semester. Everyone got excited and cheered in agreement, but Shin Ji-hyuk looked at the team with a sarcastic smile, commenting on the strangeness of their formation that combines the first place holder and the last place holder together. Then he directed his words to Sun-woo, questioning his ability to keep up with them, and reminding him of his failure to cast a single spell during the last test. Sun Woo looked at him coldly, realizing that Ji Hyuk intentionally mocks him. Jung Jin Tai intervened to end the situation with a light laugh, saying that since Lee Seo-jun is the one who brought Sun Woo, he is the one who will handle him. Kim Sun Woo looked at his teammate Shin Ji Hyuk with a look full of contempt, realizing that this person plans only to rely completely on Lee Seo-jun to succeed without exerting any effort. At that moment, Yoon Ha-young approached with a gentle smile, asking Lee Seo-jun how he was, while Sun Woo was thinking that the time of her true brilliance is still very far in the story, making him feel anxious because the current team lineup is completely different from what it was in the past. As the team walked together, Sun Woo's anxiety continued to escalate, wondering if this test would pass peacefully with the presence of these members. His thinking was interrupted by the teacher's voice asking for attention, announcing the start of explaining the details of the dungeon exploration. The teacher explained that the class would take place in 2 shifts, morning and evening, and since it is the first day, the exploration will be limited to the first basement floor only. Then he moved to explain the grading system that will be adopted in this test. The teacher pointed out that the first criterion is the dungeon completion speed, so the faster the team, the more bonus points. The second criterion is rank adjustment points, which explains the reason for Lee Seo-jun's choice of Sun Woo, as the high-ranking student gets more individual points the lower the ranking of his teammates. Finally, the third criterion is contribution, where artificial dungeons feature a special system that grants extra points based on the amount of each individual's contribution to the fight. The students got excited and cheered loudly. Then the teacher ordered them to enter as teams, emphasizing the priority of safety. In the monitoring room, Teacher Jang arrived a little late after admitting the students. The other teachers were waiting for him to start their usual bet on which team would achieve the highest grades, but the problem was that everyone was betting on Yu Ara's team. They were disappointed when Jang also chose Yu Ara's Group 7, meaning the bet was cancelled due to lack of competition. But suddenly the teacher who gifted the bracelet to Sun Woo raised her hand with a confident smile, announcing she would accept the bet and choose Group 3 led by Lee Seo-jun. Teacher Jang was surprised by her choice, explaining that although Lee Seo-jun and Yu Ara are leaders, the quality of low-ranking students in both teams differs. He explained his point of view that Lee Seo-jun's team is unstable, and the teacher agreed with him because Seo-jun specializes in reinforcement magic, which focuses on individual combat, making it difficult for him to deal with large numbers of enemies without strong support. Teacher Jang pointed to the screen showing Yu Ara sweeping enemies with her wide-range magic, having already reached the middle of the first floor. Despite all these analyses, the teacher remained sticking to her opinion, confirming her belief in the rebellion of the last place, and invited them to watch the result. Inside the dungeon, Lee Seo-jun was proving his worth by cutting a huge monster with a single sword strike. The team advanced confidently behind their strong leader. Ji Hyuk praised Seo-jun's skill, pointing out happily that they had already covered half the distance, and they started wondering sarcastically about the identity of the first floor's boss, where Ji Hyuk expected it to be just a weak monster since it is only the first floor. His colleague agreed with him sarcastically, while Ha-young wondered anxiously if the boss would appear strong nonetheless. Ha-young turned to Sun Woo and asked him about his expectations, so he answered her calmly and confidently that a giant wolf would appear. Ji Hyuk stopped suddenly and looked at him suspiciously, asking him how he knew that, so Sun Woo answered briefly that he has his own ways, while inside he was mocking them because he lived these events previously. Ji Hyuk burst out laughing, describing Sun Woo as a pathological liar, and continued, provoking him with childish movements, saying he doesn't believe him, and asked if he was angry. Lee Seo-jun intervened to calm the situation, asking them to stop fighting and move quickly, so Ji Hyuk agreed reluctantly. But suddenly, Lee Seo-jun stopped and froze in his place, ordering everyone to stop immediately, provoking their surprise and questioning about what is happening now. The team stopped suddenly when Lee Seo-jun noticed something strange on the ground, prompting his colleagues to wonder what was happening. Everyone looked down to find a magic circle glowing in blue, and signs of confusion appeared on their faces due to not knowing the type of this circle. Young Jin Tai wondered anxiously about the reason for a magic circle's presence in this place, and if it was dangerous, while Shin Ji Hyuk ruled out that the academy would put something dangerous in their way. Kim Sun Woo approached cautiously and knelt on his knees to examine the circle, while Lee Seo-jun warned him, asking him to pay attention, but Sun Woo reassured him that he would just examine the matter. While staring at the circle, Sun Woo realized immediately that it was not dangerous, but rather just a simple barrier. While Ji Hyuk was looking at him suspiciously, wondering how he knew it was a barrier. He was confident of that because he saw exactly the same barrier open in front of him in his previous life. He placed his hand on the barrier confidently to confirm what he told them, so Shin Ji Hyuk corrected himself, saying he knew that too. Anxiety prevailed among the team members as they wondered if this meant they couldn't pass and had to go back, looking for another way. But Lee Seo-jun stepped forward and drew his sword, asking everyone to step back because he would try to cut the barrier by force. He raised his sword high and began gathering his strong golden aura in preparation for the attack. He brought the sword down with a crushing blow that caused a huge bang and flying sparks, causing a crack in the barrier. Ji Hyuk and Ha-young cheered enthusiastically, wondering if the blow succeeded. But soon their hope was disappointed when the smoke faded for the barrier to remain intact as it is, causing them frustration. Lee Seo-jun did not give up, but tightened his grip on the sword, saying he felt it might work if he focused his blow better. At that moment, Shin Ji-hyuk decided that the time had come to intervene, thinking sarcastically about how they view him as a support person only. He advanced towards the circle, asking them to wait a little. Shin Ji-hyuk placed his hand on the magic circle, but was surprised that the magic circle was not as easy as he thought, estimating that solving this complex formula by traditional methods might take 40 minutes, but he decided to finish the matter as soon as possible. Sun Woo intervened and announced confidently that he would solve it, while Shin Ji-hyuk looked at him in amazement. Ji-hyuk screamed, trying to stop him, and asked him what the hell he was doing. Sun Woo ignored him and activated his special feature, Interloper Benefits, so the magic circle began responding to him immediately. Digital windows began appearing in front of him, and the system began interpreting the complex magic formula and analyzing it at super speed. Full information appeared before him. Korea Magic Academy, Artificial Dungeon, First Floor, Circular Barrier, Low Difficulty, Boss, Giant Wolf. Sun Woo smiled slyly, for the validity of his previous lie about the giant wolf was confirmed, and he managed to understand the barrier mechanism completely. The blue barrier split in front of him with a bright light, announcing the opening of the path. Everyone stood stunned while the barrier was fading, unable to believe what their eyes were seeing. Sun Woo turned to them with a confident smile, saying he had succeeded. Shock was clear on Lee Seo-jun and Ji-hyuk's faces, and they wondered in astonishment if he really succeeded that fast. A system window appeared before Sun Woo, announcing that the character Lee Seo-jun feels amazed towards him, and that his interest in him has increased. Finally, the system announced that Lee Seo-jun's interest level in him reached level 1, granting him 5,000 points as a reward, while Sun Woo stood wondering to himself what this interest level is. A giant wolf appeared from the shadows at the top of the stairs, imposing its terrifying prestige on the place. This was the first floor's boss, the giant wolf, which looked fierce and ready to pounce at any moment. The team members swallowed their saliva in fear, realizing in astonishment that Kim Sun-woo's prediction was completely accurate, as if he read the future. The wolf pounced with tremendous speed towards them, but Lee Seo-jun was on the lookout as he jumped in the air, brandishing his sword in a perfect combat stance. And with a lightning movement saturated with energy, he dealt a fatal blow that cut through the air and hit the monster with extreme precision. Lee Seo-jun landed on the ground steadily while the huge body of the wolf fell behind him, ending the battle in moments as expected from a genius like him. Fear turned into mockery as Yoon Ha-young began to laugh, considering hunting the floor boss was as easy as an ordinary monster. The team left the dungeon through the gate, announcing the end of the test. The teacher in charge received them with the results, congratulating Group 3 for getting second place in the first week. Lee Seo-jun was shocked and asked about the first place holder, for the reply to come that Group 7 led by Yu Ah-ra had finished the test a full 30 minutes before them. Seo-jun smiled bitterly, realizing that Yu Ah-ra's team is not an easy opponent. The team members became frustrated upon hearing Yu Ah-ra's amazing time, which reached 4 hours and 11 minutes, and anxiety began to seep into them regarding the narrow difference between them and the third place. Lee Seo-jun placed his hand on Sun Woo's shoulder and told him that the credit goes to him because they managed to get second place because of him. Sun Woo denied that the credit belongs to him, but Seo-jun assures him that without his speed in breaking the magic barrier, they would have been much later. While Seo-jun emphasized that he should have ensured first place, Yoon Ha-young objected, refusing the leader's blaming of himself. Sun Woo gathered the team around him, calming their fear and reminding them that this is just the first floor of the first week, and that the opportunity to turn the tables still exists. While the team was preparing to leave, they heard footsteps approaching, for a red-haired teacher to appear calling Kim Sun-woo. Sun-woo turned to recognize her immediately. She is the teacher in charge of the support magic department. She told him seriously that she came to make him an offer. Suddenly, she grabbed his hand with intense enthusiasm and shouted, asking him to transfer to the support department immediately. Sun-woo looked at her in astonishment and lack of comprehension. He pulled his hand calmly and answered her with complete coldness that he doesn't want to. The teacher went crazy at his categorical refusal without even listening to the conditions, asking him to wait and hear the offer first. With a confident look, she offered him a special scholarship for talents worth 50 million won, but Sun-woo replied with rigid features that he is not interested at all. Ji-hyuk and the rest of the team stood stunned, and a student asked him if he was crazy to refuse an offer like this. Whispers began to rise among students, pointing out that he is weak in manifestation magic originally, and that if they were in his place they would accept the offer immediately. But Sun Woo remained silent and firm on his position, so Yu Ah-ra intervened in the conversation and asked him if he was sure he wouldn't transfer to the support department, pointing out that special talents get tons of benefits beside the scholarship, making Sun Woo turn to her. Sun Woo smiled confidently and said he would stick to manifestation magic after thanking her. His response left Yu Ah-ra in a state of confusion and amazement, unable to understand the reason for his insistence on a path he seems not to master. While Kim Sun-woo was engrossed in cleaning the corridor, Seo Yoon-ah approached him with confident steps, looking surprised to see a student doing this work. She greeted him, so he raised his head and replied to her calmly. Seo Yoon-ah, called him enthusiastically, saying, "Sunbai Kim Shin-wook," thinking she knew his name. Sunwoo corrected the name for her with a strained smile, explaining that he is Kim Sunwoo and not Shin-wook. So she asked him curiously about the reason for him cleaning. He answered her simply that the place was dirty, so he decided to clean it, making her eyes shine with admiration. She clasped her hands together and praised his kindness and noble morals, describing him as a wonderful person. She bid him farewell with a bright smile, wishing him a happy day, then left the place. As soon as she moved away, Seo Yuna's features changed to boredom, thinking to herself that what Sunwoo does is pointless on the surface. But suddenly, a system window appeared in front of Sunwoo, announcing the completion of the Snail Bride achievement and rewarding him with 1,000 points, making him smile sarcastically, wondering how he would explain to her that he cleans only to get this achievement. He finished his work and grabbed the bucket, leaving, feeling satisfied for getting the points. At that moment, a student appeared peeking at him from behind the wall with a mysterious smile. The scene shifted to the lecture hall, where the teacher was explaining about different monster types, displaying a 3D image of a terrifying monster. He explained that there are human, beast, flying types, and many other classifications. But he stopped at an important point, noting that the most dangerous of these types at all are the demonized. He directed his question to the students about the reason for the danger of these beings. Sunwoo raised his hand and answered confidently that it is because they cannot be distinguished from humans unless they voluntarily abandon their disguise or reach the brink of rampage. The teacher praised his answer, adding that they are absolute evil rooted in society, drinking human blood and controlling monsters. While the teacher was explaining the difficulty of detecting them without special equipment, Sunwoo began looking around suspiciously, thinking about the possibility of a demonized existing among them. Sunwoo remembered the original novel's events, where an incident is supposed to occur at the end of this week in which the demonized appear for the first time. It is the incident in which Lee Seo-jun will defeat the enemy despite being a student, to headline the news as a hero. Despite his confidence that Seo-jun would handle the matter, anxiety kept haunting him. He imagined the shadow of the evil dragon while thinking about the necessity of checking for any nearby dangers as a precautionary measure. But he collided with a painful realistic fact, which is that he needs money if he wanted to accompany Lee Seo-jun in his external activities. Later, Sunwoo sat in his room practicing meditation exercises to cultivate mana, surrounded by a glowing green aura. System notifications appeared to tell him of a mana increase by 0.02, with an addition of 0.03 thanks to the effect of the Nature's Blessing trait, and the trait efficiency also increased by 12%. He opened his eyes and felt satisfied, for all the training he did in his spare time began to bear fruit finally, and he had collected a decent amount of mana. He got up enthusiastically, seeing a new window announcing that the rank of the Nature's Blessing trait rose to rank 2. Not only that, but the active effect of the trait was unlocked, called Nature's Heart. Sunwoo smiled triumphantly, confirming to himself that buying this trait was absolutely the right decision. He read the details of the new ability in astonishment. Nature's Heart increases mana recovery speed by 1000% for 1 minute, with a cooldown of 24 hours. He realized it is a trump card he can use in times of extreme need to compensate for his mana shortage. Kim Sunwoo stood watching the window before him with a satisfied smile, assuring himself that he was made for this specific type of magic. But that quiet moment didn't last long, as his memory flashed back to the embarrassing situation with the support magic teacher grasping his hand, begging him with excessive enthusiasm to transfer to her department. Sunwoo sighed in annoyance as he recalled the temptation of the scholarship, admitting that the amount was indeed very alluring. He opened his bank account only to be shocked by the bitter reality. His balance did not exceed 30,801, making him realize with sorrow that student life meant perpetual bankruptcy. He began to think seriously about quick ways to earn money, wondering if there were any short-term gigs he could take on. He reviewed the available options, such as entering dungeons and hunting monsters to sell the loot, but he ruled that out due to the extreme danger. Then he considered climbing towers, believing he was capable of handling the lower levels. But the major obstacle was that he was still a minor and did not possess a mage license, making his entry into towers legally impossible. Suddenly, a genius idea flashed in his mind. The scene shifted to the faculty room, where the teachers were speaking with admiration about a diligent student who had recently caught their attention. A teacher mentioned Kim Sunwoo from the second year, noting that he comes in early in the morning to clean the halls voluntarily. Another teacher praised his high focus and active participation in class, describing his attitude as wonderful. The female teacher laughed with pride, considering this the typical nature of manifestation department students. She happily recalled how the support teacher tried to poach him, but she remained confident in Sunwoo's loyalty to his department. Everyone agreed that it was refreshing to see such a diligent and kind student these days. Meanwhile, Sunwoo was laughing maniacally in the hallway, declaring to himself that he was a genius. He had just obtained the achievement, Student Beloved by Teachers, and its 2,000-point reward, filling him with the ecstasy of victory. He opened the point shop and began searching for a specific item. He found what he was looking for and purchased an item for 10,000 points, which was his maximum purchasing limit. He sat contemplating his devious plan to squeeze every drop of benefit from this investment and earn money at the same time. Saturday morning arrived, and Sunwoo stood before a towering structure, wearing civilian clothes and sunglasses. He approached the guard, who asked him to present his mage license. He took out an ID card and presented it to the guard with confidence, introducing himself as Kim Jin-woo, a 25-year-old C-class mage. The guard examined the card, which bore Sunwoo's photo but with older features and glasses. The guard looked at Sunwoo and then at the card suspiciously, while Sunwoo's heart pounded violently with tension. His eyes darted anxiously behind the sunglasses, fearing his cover would be blown. But the guard returned the card after verifying it, confirming the validity of the mage Kim Jin-woo's data. The guard smiled and welcomed him, while Sunwoo breathed a sigh of relief. Sunwoo thanked the guard and entered the tower, wiping the sweat from his forehead, grateful that his cover wasn't blown. He admired the forged ID card he had purchased from the points shop days ago, which enabled him to impersonate an adult, licensed mage. He recalled the moment he pressed the button in the points shop to buy the fake ID with a mage license, an expensive item that cost him 10,000 points. The card had appeared before him glowing. It wasn't just a regular forgery, but a special license containing a unique magical formula that made it impossible to counterfeit or detect, granting him a perfect cover. He put on magical glasses that changed his eye color and features, looking at himself with confidence, confirming that his disguise was now perfect and flawless. He headed towards his destination while reviewing his schedule. He would finish the tower business quickly, and then head directly to the Han River, where Lee Seo-jun was scheduled to fight the monster known as the Mine at exactly 9:30. He passed through a massive gate, and the system welcomed him as Kim Jin-woo upon his entry into the Tower of Proof. He stood on the magical teleportation platform, where the window indicated he could enter up to the 27th floor, and the system asked for his destination. He selected the 10th floor, only to receive a warning that this floor had been cleared previously, and that rewards would be low for a re-clear. He smiled confidently, indifferent to the warning, for his true goal was not the ordinary rewards that others sought. The light flashed, and he transported through the gate, which served as a convenient means of travel between the towering floors. Many types of towers exist in this world, and their difficulty varies based on the strength of the monsters and the complexity of the traps within. Sunwoo arrived at the 10th floor of the Tower of Proof, a tower that appeared in a side story of the original novel. Although it was a low floor, many guilds avoided challenging it due to its unusual difficulty and complex nature. He had barely taken his first steps when a huge monster with 3 glowing red eyes emerged from the darkness. The monster pounced on him ferociously, but Sunwoo was ready, firing his magic with precision to strike the monster dead in an instant, noting that the monsters here were relatively weak. A notification appeared for the first hunt achievement with a 1,000-point reward as he dusted off his hands. He looked around with a broad smile, realizing the secret behind the guilds avoiding this tower. The monsters were weak, but the place was filled with traps and high-level magical formulas, making it custom-made for his magic analysis abilities. He checked his watch, estimating that the remaining time was sufficient to clear the place and make it to his appointment. Meanwhile, near the Han River, crowds were gathering densely despite the lack of any festival, and Young Jun and Lee Seo-jun were amidst this throng. Young Jun suggested taking a commemorative photo since they were there, which surprised Seo-jun. Despite the hero's hesitation, his friend pulled him in and took a fun selfie, documenting the moment. Back inside the tower, Sunwoo eliminated another monster, which dropped a shiny red magic gem, making him whistle in admiration of his good luck. He picked up the gem gratefully, muttering that this would at least cover his transportation costs. He stopped in front of a seemingly ordinary wall, but his experience told him that what he was looking for was right here, so he placed his hand on a specific spot. As soon as he touched the wall, a bright light emitted, and a message appeared announcing the unlocking of the barrier-breaking expert achievement. A secret door opened in the wall, and he received an additional 2,000 points as a reward. Sunwoo entered the hidden floor of the Tower of Proof, named the Fantasy World, where he felt the mana of mystery amplifying densely around him. A new notification appeared announcing the unlocking of the Secret Explorer achievement and a massive reward of 5,000 points, bringing a broad smile to his face as he said he had finally found what he wanted. Kim Jin-woo stood in the center of the secret hall, ready to harvest the gains that no one else in this world knew about but him. The majestic statue stood tall, its booming voice filling the hall, fixing its gaze on Sunwoo and asking if he was truly capable of proving his worth among the climbers. After the statue finished its sentence, a strong, radiant light suddenly appeared, taking Kim Sunwoo by surprise. The scene then suddenly shifted to a picturesque garden where flower fairies fluttered about with innocent laughter. Despite their cute appearance, the disguised Sunwoo immediately realized their true nature as C-rank monsters. These deceptive creatures were not as weak as they appeared. Rather, they transformed into rabid monsters the moment they saw humans, and they pounced on him fiercely. Kim Sunwoo quickly fired a magic beam, hitting one of the fairies. He gathered mana in his hand, certain that speed was the key to survival here. He released his magic to knock down the fairies, one after another, striking panic into the rest. Suddenly, Kim Sunwoo stopped his attack on the fairies and approached one of the magic circles he found on the ground. Because he quickly realized that eliminating them all would not open the way for him to clear the floor. He understood the point. His excellence did not lie in physical strength, but in the unique ability that no one else possessed. He activated the Interloper Benefits trait, causing the complex magical formulas to appear and deconstruct before him. He saw the words forming, asking him to prove his ability to interpret the formulas, which he did with proficiency. He smiled confidently as he saw the solution clearly, realizing that his uniqueness lay in decoding this formula. He burst forth his magical energy to announce his success in the test, utilizing every ability he had acquired as an interloper in this world. The system announced the unlocking of the achievement, recognized by the Tower of Proof, and a hefty reward of 10,000 points. While he stood before the statue in victory, he received the Tower Proof trait of D rank as a special blessing from the tower. The path opened to the hidden floor, the fantasy world, where he found a true treasure comprising the Red Dragon Soul, a magic book, and seeds and holy herbs. Windows appeared announcing a significant increase in his magic, mana recovery speed, and magic power, and Kim Sun-woo celebrated happily that his plan had finally succeeded. Fireworks went off too, announced his successful clearing of the hidden floor. Outside, Young-jun looked at the fireworks, realizing that the real events were about to begin. Lee Seo-jun stopped his friend Young-jun to show him something strange in the photo they had taken. They were smiling in the photo, but the background hid a terrifying secret. He asked him to look closely, revealing a man wearing a hat, his eyes radiating a familiar danger. Young-jun gasped in shock, wondering if those eyes belonged to a demonized. Indeed, the man in the photo was a human mine hiding among the people, his eyes betraying his beastly nature. In a dark alley, the demonized was staggering and writhing in pain, while the clock hands approached 9:30. The disguised Sun-woo stood watching the situation with extreme anxiety. The time had come, but Lee Seo-jun had not yet appeared. Sweat began to pour down as he thought about his dilemma. This wasn't just a side quest, but a main event in the story, and his reckless interference could lead to destroying the sequence of events entirely. The demonized bumped into a student on the street, and while the student asked anxiously if he was okay, the disguised Sun-woo's eyes widened behind his glasses as he watched the scene, surprised by what happened. The demonized launched a sudden, brutal surprise attack, piercing the student's chest as blood gushed out, leaving him panting from pain and shock. With a powerful blow, he knocked the student away amidst the horror of the passers-by. The student fell to the ground hard, screaming in pain. Suddenly, a dark aura exploded from the demonized's body, tearing his clothes to reveal a muscular physique and massive demonic energy, announcing his complete transformation. The monster turned towards a nearby girl, casting his terrifying shadow over her. Screams of panic rose among the people who realized they were facing a demonized in a state of rampage, and they began calling for help and reporting the incident immediately. Sun-woo didn't hesitate for a single moment, launching himself at lightning speed towards the monster. He decided at that moment to throw the original story's scenario to the wind. The priority now was saving lives. Then he rushed towards the monster, his eyes shining with firm determination to protect these people first. Elsewhere, the Special Forces agent of the Mage Association confirmed the validity of the report as soon as he saw the photo taken by the students. He had no doubt that those red eyes belonged to a dangerous, demonized. Young-jun confirmed to the agent that the target had been spotted nearby. The agent realized the scale of the disaster. The place was crowded due to the festival, and this type of monster grew stronger the more blood it consumed. Lee Seo-jun was surprised when he felt a terrifying demonic energy, and the agent felt a massive flow of mana, confirmed the battle location, and headed towards it at maximum speed. Back at the battlefield, people were still in a state of chaos, wondering about the safety of the area. Suddenly, the giant monster appeared before the panicked girl who froze in place, begging for mercy. The monster raised its huge fist to bring it down on her amidst her screams, and Kim Sun-woo muttered that the table had barely saved the girl, and he thanked God, because the girl was still okay. The girl seized the opportunity and fled quickly, and Sun-woo realized the monster was intent on targeting the girl. Sun-woo analyzed his opponent quickly, realizing he was facing a demon of at least B rank, meaning a direct attack was certain suicide, so he decided to channel all the mana he possessed into a single strike. He focused his energy and aimed at the monster's weak point with precision. A powerful magic beam launched, hitting the monster's head directly and causing a resounding explosion. Sun-woo was surprised when the monster's burning face appeared, with half of its face shattered. Sun-woo screamed internally in despair because he had messed up. The mask shattered, but he failed to destroy the monster's brain completely. The rampaging monster pounced with destructive purple energy, forcing Sun-woo to retreat and dodge with difficulty. Sun-woo realized with a tense smile that he had been saving this card for later, but he no longer had any other choice. Suddenly, a bright blue light emitted from his body, announcing the activation of the Nature's Heart effect, increasing his mana. Recovery speed by 1000% for 1 minute in preparation for the decisive round. The disguised Kim Sun-woo launched at lightning speed, firing orbs of glowing blue energy. In a decisive moment, he unleashed a barrage of magical attacks at the monster, shouting defiantly that even if he couldn't kill it in 1 minute, he would at least leave it half dead. The attack struck the monster's body with precision, causing resounding explosions that shook the area. The monster stumbled back from the force of the blows, while Sun-woo continued his attack relentlessly, exploiting every second of time available to him. Sun-woo stood panting, challenging the monster to try and block his next attacks. With intense focus, he aimed a concentrated magic strike directly at the monster's head, shouting that he was targeting the head only. The strike hit its mark, causing the monster to scream in pain. Sun-woo felt satisfied with his performance, thinking that if he continued at this pace, he would win. But suddenly, the blue light around him faded, and he realized with shock that the minute was already up. He tried to gather mana again but found himself helpless, while the monster regained its balance and began advancing towards him slowly and menacingly, its eyes glowing with evil. At that critical moment, the Special Forces agent of the Mage Association intervened, severing the demonized's head. The monster's huge head fell to the ground, and Sun-woo's pupils dilated in surprise. Agent Jong Hyun-soo of the Special Forces announced the situation was contained as he advanced towards them calmly. The agent thanked Sun-woo for his intervention, which facilitated the mission, then politely asked him to show his mage license to verify his identity and grant him the reward. Sun Wu presented the fake card confidently, and the agent examined it with surprise, noting that he was rank C despite having assumed he was at least rank B based on his performance. Sun Wu was surprised by the arrival of Young Jun and Lee Seo-jun at the scene. Sun Wu screamed internally, blaming Seo-jun for his delay, while watching them with a tense smile. Seo-jun began to feel something strange as he looked at the disguised Sun Wu, muttering that he felt like he had seen him before. Seo-jun asked the disguised Sun Wu if he knew a person named Kim Sun Wu. He added that he was a student at the Magic Academy. Young Jun also commented that he noticed the disguised person in front of them resembled Sun Wu, asking if he was a relative. Sun Wu denied knowing the name, claiming he was hearing it for the first time. The agent intervened to end the situation, asking the students to leave and stop bothering the mage. The agent thanked Sun Wu for his assistance, which saved many lives. Seo-jun kept staring at Sun Wu. Sun Wu felt tense and replied to the agent that he had only done his duty. Sun Wu bowed to the agent in farewell, thanking him for saving his life, while the agent informed him that reporters and agents were on their way to deal with the chaos. A system window appeared announcing Sun Wu's participation in subduing the B-rank villain Jang Han, which surprised him. Then a warning message appeared stating that a slight change in the original story had been detected, granting him a reward of 5,300 points, making him wonder anxiously if he had deviated too much from the original path. The surprises continued with the system announcing an increase in causality by 0.2 points. Sun Wu read the explanation of causality in amazement. They were points earned when resolving main events, the amount increasing with the magnitude of the change in the story, and they could be used to activate authority. Sun Wu wondered in amazement if this meant he could truly save Lee Seo-jun this time, especially after seeing in the list that reaching 100 causality points would grant him the Deus Ex Machina ability to achieve anything he desired. Kim Sun Wu stood stunned before the system screen, reading the details of the absolute authority, Deus Ex Machina, that unlocks upon reaching 100 causality points, allowing him to achieve anything he desired. A fateful question immediately jumped to his mind. Was this ability his ticket back to his real world? But he made up his mind quickly, realizing that hesitation was no longer an option, and that he must protect Lee Seo-jun and acquire more causality points. He resolved to actively intervene in the course of the story from now on to change fate. His train of thought was interrupted by the sound of a bank notification announcing the deposit of a 15 million won reward for subduing the demon, making him marvel at the speed of the procedures. He looked at his new spear and decided that since he had been through a hard, event-filled day, it would be better to use this money to get proper rest in a comfortable place instead of returning to the dorms. His eyes turned to the luxurious Han Sung Hotel, the exclusive destination for star mages. As he walked through its lavish lobby, he remembered that the Han Sung Group was a global corporation possessing power and wealth, and had played an important role in the original story as well. The staff welcomed a VIP with great respect at the entrance. Meanwhile, Han Se-jin, the group's vice president and primary candidate for succession, appeared receiving greetings from his staff. His assistant informed him that his sister had expressed a desire to join him for dinner, which surprised him. Se-jin remembered his sister, Han Se-yoon, whom he hadn't seen in a long time, and agreed to her request. Simultaneously, Sun Wu also recalled the existence of a character named Han Se-yoon in the novel. He sat in his luxurious room reviewing his loot, deciding to sell the spear because it was too eye-catching and he couldn't use it freely. He also decided to keep the reinforcement scroll as it would be useful later, but as for the holy herb seeds and the 5 herbs, he planned to sell them specifically to Han Se-yoon. He lay down, thinking that he had to wait until tomorrow to execute his plan. The morning sun rose, bringing breaking news, as channels broadcast a report about a person who had recently attracted attention after clearing the hidden floor of the Tower of Proof. The news stated that this individual, who was merely a C-rank mage, had astounded the public by subduing a rampaging demon at the Han River Park immediately after exiting the tower. The Mage Association announced its praise for the heroism of Mage Kim Jin-woo, stating that they were currently reviewing his rank for a potential promotion. In the street, passers-by were talking in amazement about him fighting the demon alone in that chaotic situation. Suddenly, notifications flooded Sun Wu, announcing the unlocking of the Little Hero achievement, the gratitude of 2 million citizens for his courage, and the curiosity of many characters towards him, harvesting 21,000 points all at once from a single news bulletin. He decided to exploit this momentum to visit Hansung Pharmaceuticals and meet Han Se-yoon now that his identity had been somewhat verified. Upon entering the company, he caught the attention of the female employees who recognized him immediately and began whispering about his handsomeness and how his appearance matched what they saw on TV. Sun Wu felt good about this sudden fame as he walked confidently through the corridors, but he stopped suddenly, panic-stricken at seeing a certain man before him. It was Jiang Suji, the S-class mage known as the Sword of the Hansung family. Sun Wu wondered nervously why a character of this level was here right as the door opened, and whether he had come for him personally. Sun Wu gathered his courage and introduced himself as Kim Jin-woo, offering to sell medicinal herbs he obtained from the tower and requesting that the director evaluate them personally. Inside, Han Se-yoon, the youngest daughter of the group, held the bundle of herbs, expressing her admiration that the man of the hour was visiting her. But her interest in the herbs was greater and more intriguing. She noticed that the herb lacked basic mana roots, yet she could feel a strong energy emitting from it. She looked at him with seriousness and curiosity, confirming that dealing with this herb would be difficult but it was undoubtedly exceptional, and asked him how he discovered its effectiveness. Kim Sun-woo continued speaking with confidence, explaining that he had been studying medicine for a long time, while thinking to himself that the holy herb in his possession was not just an ordinary plant, but a very special medicinal ingredient. He explained that this herb possessed a unique ability to significantly amplify the effectiveness of other ingredients, but in itself, it had no healing effect if used alone. He added that the problem lay in the lack of anyone currently capable of handling it, given that its processing method was extremely difficult and complex. Han Se-yoon listened to his explanation with focus, and although she wasn't entirely convinced by everything he said, she admitted that the optimal solution was to hand this herb over to a genius pharmacist, then asked him directly if he had any specific conditions to close the deal. Sun-woo raised his hand with 5 fingers, asking for an advance payment of 500 million won, in addition to a 0.005% share in Hansung Pharmaceuticals. Se-yoon was shocked by his bold request and laughed in amazement, pointing out that 0.005% might seem like a small number, but he appeared unaware of the massive size of their group and the value of that percentage. Sun-woo replied calmly and steadily that shares were better than cash, asserting that once the holy herb was launched commercially, the company would be able to monopolize the entire pharmaceutical market. Se-yoon categorically refused the request for shares and asked him to propose an alternative, as ownership was a red line. Sun-woo smiled slyly, having anticipated this refusal, and proposed his alternative request: VIP membership in the secret underground auction, in addition to commissioning the company to craft potions and secure the items he needed. And Sun-woo assured her that he would pay for the costs of her services. But Sun-woo surprised her with an additional condition, asking her to become his special messenger to execute his tasks, and in return he would reveal a fatal weakness of her brother, Vice President Han Se-jin. Her eyes widened in amazement and shock at the boldness and danger of the offer. Sun-woo confronted her with her truth, pointing out that she desired to control the entire Hansung group. He warned her seriously that her indifference now could lead to tearing her family apart in the future, advising her to listen closely. The news report praising the heroism of Mage Kim Jin-woo on the screen ended. In a dark place, Baek Gang was commenting on the killing of Jang Han, admitting that they could have stopped what happened. Baek Gang raged and smashed the table with his fist, shouting confirmation that they were certainly capable of saving him. His comrade tried to calm him, reminding him that the orders not to intervene came directly from that person. He justified his stance by saying that helping a rampaging comrade amidst a crowd of humans would have exposed them all to danger and blown their cover. Baek Gang was not convinced, and screamed in sorrow and anger, wondering how long they would continue living hidden in the shadows like this. He vowed, his eyes glowing with vengeance, that he would kill that bastard Kim Jin-woo himself. His comrade asked him coldly if he was sure of his decision, alerting him that Jin-woo had become very close to their special client. Baek Gang replied with mockery and confidence, asking if he was ignorant of their client's true identity and danger. In the evening, Han Se-yoon arrived at the company headquarters to find her brother, Se-jin, waiting for her outside. The man whom Baek Gang described as a monster who could kill his family with a smile. Se-jin welcomed her with a warm, artificial smile, and Han Se-yoon commented on how long it had been since their last meeting. They got into the car together, and he asked her with feigned interest if the work at the company was manageable. Se-yoon sighed and answered that the work was hard and that dealing with people was the most exhausting part, expressing her mental drainage. Se-jin exploited her complaint to hint maliciously that their father had been hasty in handing her company shares while she was still so young. He leaned in, whispering an offer that seemed brotherly on the surface but was filled with greed, suggesting she hand over the shares to him if the burden was too heavy. In return, he promised to appoint her as vice president once he took over the presidency, making her grip her phone tightly as she muttered to herself in anger and contempt, telling him not to mess with her. Kim Sun-woo received a text message from Han Se-yoon on his phone, telling him she agreed to his conditions. He smiled with satisfaction reading the message, considering that using 2 different accounts was a smart and safe move. And that meeting Han Se-yoon was the absolute right decision, especially since she bought the spear from him too. Sun-woo recalled the details of their meeting, realizing that Han Se-yoon possessed high intelligence capabilities, which made her immediately verify the validity of the information he gave her about her brother's weakness. Suddenly, a new notification arrived on his phone. It was a message from Han Se-yoon confirming she would be his messenger for only 1 month, and that she would send the advance payment and the spear's price today, asking if he needed anything else. Sun-woo replied quickly, asking her to craft special potions and an entry ticket to the secret underground arena. Se-yoon agreed to the potion request but noted she needed some time, promising to contact him when ready. Sun-woo commented saying that despite moving using the persona of Kim Jin-woo, demons wouldn't stop bothering him, noting the similarity to the original novel, which also included a path for revenge. Sun-woo sat thinking about his next step, using the system's search function to find useful traits. A list of sensing traits appeared before him, such as killing intent detection, sixth sense, and God's eye. He chose the killing intent detection trait of rank A, which allows him to sense any killing intent directed at him within a 500-meter range, but its price was very expensive, amounting to 50,000 points. Despite the high price, he decided to buy it, considering it a necessary investment to protect his life. Several days later, the disguised Sun Woo met Han Se-yoon again. She presented him with the potions he requested, the amplified mana elixir of rank B, which increases mana recovery speed by 500% for 5 minutes, but causes severe mana exhaustion after its effect wears off. Se-yoon looked at him suspiciously, wondering in secret why a skilled mage like him needed a potion like this. She asked curiously how he knew about her and her brother, and he told her he verified the information regarding her brother's weakness through his own sources. She added seriously that the information was truly shocking. Se-yoon remembered what she discovered about her brother, Han Se-jin, who always possessed a dark side, but she never imagined he would reach the point of murder. She pointed out the existence of evidence of his communication with someone suspected of being a demon, and asked Sun Woo in astonishment how he knew all this. Sun Woo smiled mysteriously, answering internally that the reason was his knowledge of the original novel. He remembered the character of Han Se-jin, who allies with a demon out of greed and turns into a villain. Sun Woo offered to reveal more in exchange for 5% of the company's shares. Se-yoon rejected the offer sharply, asking him to stop playing. Sun Woo asked her about the arena ticket, so she told him she obtained one, but it was non-transferable, meaning he had to enter accompanied by her. Sun Woo commented sarcastically on her disguise outfit, which provoked her anger. Se-yoon asked him about his plan to invest the money he earned, so he answered that he intended to multiply it. Se-yoon thought he meant gambling, so she shouted at him angrily, warning him against squandering the money she sent him. Sun Woo confirmed her assumption coldly, making her describe him as crazy. She threatened to end their deal after this month, and a system notification appeared stating Han Se-yoon's disappointment and a significant drop in her interest level in him. Sun Woo didn't care about her anger, but smiled confidently while wearing a rabbit mask. He assured himself that by the time they left the arena, he would gain much greater trust from her than what she had lost now. In the secret underground arena, the disguised Kim Sun Woo stood with a rabbit mask to check in. He heard someone welcoming him as a VIP member, while Sun Woo was fully aware of the identity of the man standing before him. A person approached him wearing a red demon mask, known in this underworld as Ha Ryong, the S-class villain and organizer of this bloody arena. Sun Woo bowed with artificial politeness, commenting internally that Ha Ryong's presence here was natural, being the organizer. Ha Ryong wished them a pleasant time with a malicious smile behind his mask. Ha Ryong left the place, while Sun Woo warned himself against getting involved with him currently. Han Se-yoon walked beside Sun Woo amidst the enthusiastic crowds, noticing the loud and exciting atmosphere in the place. Sun Woo pointed out that the excessive enthusiasm was for a good reason, which was the presence of the famous fighter, Yang Hongzhou. Se-yoon asked about the name, so Sun Woo told her he was the most popular fighter currently. He added that Yang Hongzhou was a mage who held the champion title for 3 consecutive years, and that his combat skills practically equaled rank A, making him a terrifying opponent. Se-yoon suggested intelligently that they bet on him to ensure winning, but Sun Woo disagreed with her, explaining that everyone would bet on him, meaning the profits would be very meager. Se-yoon looked at him in surprise, so he assured her that the goal was to make money, and therefore they must do the opposite. Sun Woo approached the betting window and asked to place a bet, and in a confident tone, he asked to place a huge sum of 530 million won on Yang Hongzhou's opponent, which struck Se-yoon with amazement and shock. Even the employee in charge of the bet froze in place from the horror of the amount and the risk. Se-yoon asked Sun Woo, stuttering, if he was serious, and about the identity of the opponent he was betting on with all this confidence. Se-yoon was surprised when she realized that Sun Woo didn't even know the name of the opponent he would bet on. Later, the employee informed Ha Ryong that a guest bet a sum of 530 million won on the unknown opponent, a rookie fighting his first match today. Ha Ryong wondered what kind of person did that. The employee told him that person was wearing a rabbit mask. Ha Ryong remembered him as that VIP member. Ha Ryong was watching the bet with interest, commenting that this amount is considered chump change for these rich people, wondering if he was just a wealthy person with bad taste. Elsewhere, Baek Gang rose from his place in shock when his comrade announced that the name Kim Jin-woo had appeared in the fighting arena and told him he attended with Han Se-yoon. Baek Gang smiled a beastly smile, expressing his happiness at finding his target he was looking for. He ordered his men to prepare the car immediately, vowing revenge for Jang Han tonight. In the ring, the match ended with amazing speed, as a warrior crushed his opponent mercilessly, leaving Se-yoon and Sun Woo in a state of astonishment, while the defeated opponent surrendered. The victor stood ending the match, commenting coldly that he should have done that sooner. The announcer declared the victor's win in his first match amidst the crowd's cheering. Angry chants and insults began pouring on the defeated warrior who surrendered, and the audience accused him of fixing the match. Someone screamed angrily, asking him to die, while Se-yoon watched the scene in horror. She commented with a trembling voice on the brutality of the atmosphere in the secret arena, where there is no place for mercy. Despite the charged atmosphere, there was a certainty that the organizers wouldn't allow things to reach the point of killing inside the ring. Soon, the start of the awaited match between the newcomer Ryang and the current champion Yang Hongzhou was announced, amidst a huge disparity in betting, as bets on the champion reached 2.8 billion won, while the rookie recorded a huge and surprising figure of 530 million won. The announcer's voice resounded throughout the place, reviewing these amazing numbers, pointing to the massive sum placed on the unknown rookie. Kim Sun-woo stood with a confident smile, realizing that everyone played it safe and bet on the champion, while he was the only one who knew the result beforehand. Whispers of mockery rose among the audience about the madman who bet all this money on a rookie, describing him as a fool who would lose everything. But Sun-woo didn't care about their chatter. Rather, he was calculating in his mind the massive profits he would reap, which would reach 6 times the original amount if things went as he planned. The two fighters entered the ring, where Yang Hongjo appeared with a muscular body and a terrifying aura. Han Se-yoon was shocked upon seeing the massive difference in physical build between the two, unable to believe that Ryang would face this giant. Ryang looked extremely tiny in front of Yang Hongjo, and Sun-woo tried to lighten the situation with a joke that he hadn't grown yet, while sweat was pouring from him slightly. But deep down, money wasn't the only motive for his presence here. There was a bigger goal related to the villain group, Gaon, that would play a major role in the story. Allocating this character Ryang in the original novel ended with him joining that criminal organization. Therefore, he wanted to see him fight once. Someone wondered aloud about the identity of the person who placed the big bet on Ryang. Sun-woo reassured himself there was no need for fear, for everything was going according to what was written in the original novel. He remembered the absolute truth of this character. Ryang has never been defeated in the secret arena. In contrast, Yang Hongjo looked at him with contempt, considering his level too low to be worth the trouble. While electrical energy began flying from his body, the champion launched towards Ryang with tremendous speed, vowing to end the bout in moments. Ryang managed to dodge the attack with difficulty, but Yang Hongjo landed a powerful blow that knocked him far away. The audience was shocked, thinking that Ryang had been defeated that easily. Tension prevailed among the audience, and doubts began to seep into Sun-woo regarding this frail rookie's ability to win. Outside, a luxury car arrived with Baek Gang inside, his eyes sparking. He was boiling with anger and wanted to storm the place immediately, but he remembered that ruining Haryong's event would endanger him too. He asked his driver when the event ended, to be told it was scheduled to finish at 10:30. Baek Gang smiled bloodily, deciding that this timing would be perfect to kill Kim Jin-woo. Back to the ring, the fighting pace intensified as Yang Hongjo continued dealing destructive blows. He screamed in anger, unleashing his energy, trying to crush his elusive opponent. And with a surprise move, he landed a powerful kick towards Ryang, screaming at him to know his place and get out of his face. The blow hit Ryang hard, slamming him into the wall with extreme violence. The audience cheered enthusiastically for Yang Hongjo, demanding he finish off his opponent. Sun-woo raised his head with difficulty, his eyes behind the mask widening in astonishment and real shock, muttering incomprehensible words, as if he suddenly realized that reality might differ from what he read in the novel. Yang Hongjo stood in the middle of the ring with a victorious smile, while the audience wondered in amazement if he had really won. But he was shocked when a dagger pierced his body, and blood began gushing from him profusely. He coughed blood, looking in shock at his opponent Ryang, who was panting with fatigue and minor injuries, unable to believe what happened. Yang Hongjo screamed in anger and insults, trying to attack again. But Ryang was faster, dodging the attack gracefully and launching a barrage of dark daggers. The attacks hit Yang Hongjo accurately, slamming him to the ground with force and violence. Ryang stood over his defeated opponent, giving him a cold look. Silence prevailed among the shocked audience, and whispers began to spread about the heavy loss suffered by those who bet on the champion. In the stands, Han Se-yoon watched the scene in disbelief, wondering in a faint voice if Yang Hongjo had really lost. Suddenly, the silence turned into rampant anger as the audience began screaming and cursing Yang Hongjo, calling him a coward and trash. Kim Sun-woo breathed a sigh of relief, announcing that his work here was done and it was time to leave. But Se-yoon stopped him, asking him to wait and leave together. Meanwhile, Haryong was watching from his private box, commenting that this coincidence was very suspicious. He pointed out that Ryang's win was only due to Yang Hongjo's negligence, but he added with a piercing look that he felt a hidden intent behind that huge bet. An assistant entered because he called him. Haryong asked him to find out the identity of the person who won the bet today. In the car, Se-yoon asked Sun-woo with intense curiosity about his true identity and how he knew of Ryang's win. He answered her with a mysterious smile that it was just a hunch, which provoked her annoyance. Sun-woo looked at his phone to see the huge sum he earned, considering today a major stroke of luck. He opened his bank account to find his balance exceeded 3 billion won, making him feel the ecstasy of victory. System notifications appeared announcing the restoration of Han Se-yoon's trust in him, and even her feeling strong curiosity towards him, in addition to unlocking the unrivaled gambler achievement. An interest level was also added for Han Se-yoon, and he received a 7,000-point reward. Sun-woo felt satisfied, considering this the real return on his investment in the killing intent detection trait. Suddenly, Sun-woo felt a suspicious feeling, detecting killing intent directed towards him. Sun-woo looked behind him in shock, seeing a car chasing them at breakneck speed, and a deadly aura emitting from it. Sun-woo realized that humans always carry a dark side, confirming this by the fact that the original story itself included Ma Min's attempt to avenge Jiang Han. Se-yoon asked him anxiously about the reason for his looks, while he watched the pursuing car warily. He turned to her seriously and asked for an urgent favor. Sun-woo's car swerved suddenly to change its path, surprising the driver of the chasing car, who informed his master of the route change. Baek Gang ordered his driver to stop the car immediately, his eyes shining with flying evil, vowing to kill Sun-woo. Baek Gang stood watching his target from afar, ordering himself to kill that bastard in this place. He noticed Han Se-yoon's disappearance from the scene and began doubting the fact that this frail young man was the one who killed Jang Han, as his body seemed completely untrained. Meanwhile, Sun Woo was emptying the content of a small bottle into his mouth, while Baek Gang noticed the weak energy emitting from him. Sun Woo wiped his mouth, complaining about the terrible taste, then called out loudly, ordering his pursuer to come out. While the details of the bottle he drank appeared, amplified mana elixir of rank B, which increases mana recovery speed by 500% for 10 minutes, with side effects causing exhaustion later. Suddenly, a blue aura surrounded Sun Woo's body as he announced confidently that he knew about being watched for a while. Baek Gang was surprised by his opponent's sudden energy change and emerged from the trees, considering the threat still minimal nonetheless. He praised Sun Woo's ability to detect him and notice his tail, while summoning burning fire spears around him in preparation for attack. With a resounding scream, Baek Gang launched a barrage of fire, ordering his opponent to die. Sun Woo gathered energy in his hand and blocked the attack skillfully. Baek Gang smiled, realizing he had 2 remaining chances to attack. While flames were raining down on Sun Woo, his eyes widened with focus and caution, for the attack to hit, causing a resounding explosion. Han Se-yoon realized in the car that the battle had begun. The scene went back a little inside the car before getting out. Sun Woo was watching the back anxiously, telling her someone was following them, which panicked her. He took the bottle out of his bag, and while she wondered who this pursuer was and if it was a rival company, he confirmed it was something like that. Sun Woo asked her to head to a place empty of people because he intended to catch this pursuer. She asked him anxiously if he was capable of facing and defeating him, so he admitted it wouldn't be easy. He warned Se-yoon that the opponent's mana far exceeded rank B, and asked her if she was truly confident in his decision. Sun Woo smiled confidently, confirming that, and asked her to help him. She stopped the car suddenly, declaring she would trust his skills. Back to the current fight, Sun Woo jumped, dodging the flying spears, while Se-yoon screamed, asking him to return safely. Sun Woo considered dodging simple and not a problem, recalling his experience as a reinforcement-type mage in his first year. Baek Gang mocked him, thinking he only knew how to run, and decided to intensify his attack. He launched a massive storm of fire spears, asking defiantly how his opponent would act now. But Sun Woo moved with imaginary speed, dodging all blows, astounding Baek Gang, who noticed he became faster than he was a moment ago. Baek Gang frowned, and signs of annoyance and tension appeared on him. Sun Woo knelt on the ground, surrounded by his aura, realizing the elixir's effect would end in less than 2 minutes, and he had to hurry. He decided to end it, so he activated the Nature's Heart effect, and a system window appeared announcing a 1000% increase in his mana recovery speed for 1 minute. Baek Gang was stunned, feeling his opponent's energy double and become much stronger suddenly. In the blink of an eye, Sun Woo launched towards him, leaving a trail of blue light, leaving Baek Gang shocked by the speed of the surprise attack. Baek Gang realized the danger of the situation when Sun Woo rushed towards him, so he prepared the fire spears and took a defensive stance to block the attack no matter the cost. Sun Woo managed to dodge all the opponent's attacks. Baek Gang gritted his teeth in pain, seeing his opponent continue the attack relentlessly, but he didn't give up, directing a fire attack towards him. While Sun Woo gathered his blue magical energy in his hand, deciding not to give Baek Gang any opening, and rushing towards him with a direct breakthrough of the attack. Sun Woo broke through the wall of fire boldly, enduring the blow that hit him for the sake of reaching his opponent. He continued his advance with intense determination, focusing all his energy to deal a fatal blow from close range. Baek Gang was confused by this sudden suicidal attack, and tried to protect himself, cursing the situation. Sun Woo noticed he couldn't aim for the head accurately in this position. Sun Woo grabbed his opponent tightly, directing his magical energy directly towards his neck. Sun Woo screamed, announcing this was the end, while Baek Gang screamed in pain and shock. Sun Woo unleashed his stored energy all at once, detonating it in his opponent's body amidst the latter's amazement, who couldn't believe what was happening. Sun Woo stepped back panting, wondering in astonishment why his opponent was still standing despite taking that direct hit. Baek Gang gathered the last of his strength into a fire spear, his eyes burning with malice and desire for revenge. He raised the spear to stab Sun Woo, screaming he would kill him. Suddenly, a massive blue light split the sky, cutting through the scene with destructive force from above. The crushing blow fell to split Baek Gang in two, ending his life in a single moment. Sun Woo breathed a sigh of relief, muttering with relief that help had finally arrived. An elderly man with overwhelming prestige appeared, carrying a huge sword. It was Jang Soo-ji, the sword of the Han Sung family and S-class mage. Jang Soo-ji stood over the enemy's corpse coldly, while Sun Woo remembered that this man is the Sword Demon and one of the strongest characters in the original novel. He managed to kill Baek Gang, who equals rank A, with just one blow. Jang Soo-ji spoke with suppressed anger, wondering boldly how a lowly demon dared to think of touching the youngest daughter of the Han Sung family. Han Se-yoon called out to Jin Woo, Sun Woo, anxiously running towards him to check. She asked Sun Woo if he was okay, so he reassured her he was intact, pointing out that the plan to stall until support arrived bore fruit. Se-yoon looked at Jang Soo-ji with a confident smile, confirming her life was on the line too. She justified summoning him by saying she had to bring the strongest person she could find to ensure survival. System windows appeared announcing the death of B-rank villain Baek Gang, discovery of a slight story change, increasing causality by 0.6 and restoring Han Se-yoon's trust, plus a 1,000-point reward. Sun Woo felt great satisfaction seeing these rewards looking at the screen before him. Jang Soo-ji turned to Se-yoon, asking if the chairman should be informed of what happened. Se-yoon remembered the seriousness of the situation, as a demon attack is no small matter. Sun Woo asked her not to report it, reasoning that spreading the news of a Han Sung group member being attacked by a demon would cause major problems they didn't need. Sun Woo explained seriously that revealing the truth now would lead to chaos, confirming to himself there was no need to ruin the original story more than necessary. Han Se-yoon agreed with him, noting that spreading the news would make things extremely complicated and annoying. She turned towards Jang Soo-ji and asked him to keep the matter a secret between them. Soo-ji responded to the young lady's request obediently, confirming his understanding. 3 days later, Sun Woo lay in his room recalling events, where Han Se-yoon offered him any information he needed as a reward for protecting her during the Baek Gang incident. The information he requested related to the release schedule of the Holy Herb Potion into the market. Han Sung Pharmaceuticals developed a potion accelerating medicinal effects, and company shares were expected to skyrocket thanks to the genius director Han Se-yoon's foresight. Sun Woo looked at his phone with focus, having poured all his wealth into buying Han Sung shares in preparation for this moment. The clock showed 8:59, only 1 minute left. As soon as the clock struck 9, the trading market opened. The stock index skyrocketed, making Sun Woo scream with intense enthusiasm seeing his profits double before his eyes. He remembered bitterly how he was unable to buy a house in his previous life despite spending a lifetime grinding dungeons and killing monsters. He wondered in amazement and mockery who would have thought earning money was this easy, making him feel the bitter taste of this contradictory reality. His train of thought was interrupted by a notification from Han Se-yoon inviting him for a quick lunch tomorrow, promising him a gift. Sun Woo was surprised by the mention of a gift. Next day, he arrived at the cafe to find her waiting, justifying her early arrival as just a habit. She started talking about the stock rise and making good profits, asking him about his profit amount, guessing 50 million. But he surprised her that he earned 3 billion won in one day, so she smiled considering that a small token of appreciation from her. Sun Woo thanked her gratefully, then asked directly about the gift she mentioned. She placed a photo on the table, revealing she knew the identity of the Mage who attacked them last time. She told him his name was Baek Gang, a notorious hitman disguised as a human. She added seriously that her investigations revealed a person who dealt frequently with this killer, and that person was none other than her older brother, Han Se-jin. Sun Woo thought internally that he knew about Han Se-jin dealing with demons, but didn't expect Baek Gang to be one of them. Sun Woo tried to feign coldness, commenting that the info was interesting but didn't qualify as a gift, making her describe him as calculating despite saving each other's lives. She presented him a small box, explaining this was the real gift, a gesture expressing her looking forward to working with him in the future. Sun Woo asked anxiously if something was wrong, given her request to meet an expectation of being busy soon. Se-yoon stood to leave, concluding that since her brother Han Se-jin was connected to Baek Gang, it was very clear who was behind the attack on her. She confirmed with a sharp look that she couldn't live owing anyone, be it a debt of gratitude or a grudge requiring revenge. Sun Woo watched her leave, realizing the reality of the situation. Her belief that Han Se-jin sent Baek Gang to kill her was actually a complete misunderstanding on her part. Kim Sun-woo kept thinking about the fact that Han Se-jin remains a villain in the end, and sooner or later he becomes an obstacle in Han Se-yoon's path. Therefore, he reached the conviction that using Han Se-yoon to entrap her brother Han Se-jin wasn't a bad idea at all. Se-yoon interrupted his train of thought calling him Mr. Kim Jin-woo, so he replied in confusion. She gave him the gift with a smile, hoping he liked it, confirming she chose it herself. Sun-woo thanked her with a polite smile receiving the box. He opened the box to find a shiny silver bracelet inside, and an info window appeared showing it was a mana alloy bracelet of rank B, an extremely durable bracelet saturated with mana, with SS durability rating. Sun Woo's eyes shone with happiness, for this was exactly what he needed. Suddenly, another unexpected system window appeared announcing that the character Ha Ryong feels curious about him, granting him a 1,500-point reward, which aroused his intense astonishment. The scene shifted to a dimly lit, luxurious office, where Ha Ryong sat reviewing some papers. Another man entered wearing a long coat, greeting Ha Ryong formally. The incoming man bowed respectfully, noting nearly 10 years had passed, and Ha Ryong asked Cheon-hai if it concerned the 10 Demonic Council. Cheon-hai confirmed that, but stopped him saying there was something he wanted to inquire about first. In a serious tone, he mentioned the incident a few days ago, where his close friend Jang Han and also Baek Gang were killed, assuming Ha Ryong knew about it. Cheon-hai took out a photograph of Kim Jin-woo, pointing out that coincidentally, a certain human mage was involved in both incidents. He added, eyes shining sharply, that investigations conducted by Baek Gang before his death confirmed this man visited the Colosseum, secret arena, not long ago. Cheon-hai directed his question to Ha Ryong if he had heard the name Kim Jin-woo. He placed another photo beside the first showing Sun Woo wearing the rabbit mask, revealing Ha Ryong knew he was the same VIP member who bet on Ryang. Cheon-hai asked Ha Ryong to provide info on Jin-woo so he could offer his blood as a sacrifice for his dead comrades. Suddenly, a dark and terrifying aura exploded from Ha Ryong's body, filling the room with pressure and dread, causing Cheon-hai to fall to his knees, choking. Ha Ryong issued a stern warning, eyes glowing red, threatening him that if he even thought about touching his client, he should prepare to bear dire consequences. Cheon-hai trembled in fear, begging for mercy, swearing he wouldn't harm Kim Jin-woo. Ha Ryong calmed down slightly and asked him to just deliver the message from the 10 Demonic Council. Cheon-hai began reciting the message sweating, telling him a new prophecy had descended in the prophet's altar. The prophecy states that the child bearing the destiny of exterminating demons will awaken their power in their 18th year, and that the demon king will meet his end soon at this child's hands. Ha-ryung expressed annoyance, muttering that the king is causing a stir again because of the child of prophecy, and asked if there was additional info. Cheon-hai answered nervously that the location of the child of prophecy, who turns 18 this year, had been identified, and it is no other place than the Magic Academy. The scene returned to Sunwoo standing in his room contemplating the bracelet and a magic scroll, deciding he needed to suspend his activities as Kim Jin-woo for the time being. The system notification appeared again, reminding him of Ha-ryung's curiosity and the point reward, but he decided coldly it wasn't time yet to get involved with Ha-ryung. He grabbed the magic scroll, confirming to himself he had to focus on more important matters now. Kim Sunwoo contemplated the magic scroll in his hands, a rank B spell shield scroll capable of deploying a barrier to block a single spell, with a cooldown lasting 12 hours, realizing the importance of this item in the upcoming events. For the midterm exams were starting soon, a time when tension intensifies within the academy. These exams serve as a proving ground where students must showcase their abilities before various officials and evaluators. While this event is pivotal in the career path of the protagonist Lee Seo-jun, the true importance of these exams lies in something else entirely. It is the appearance of the Child of Prophecy, that entity born with the power to annihilate demons, and destined to be a future companion to Lee Seo-jun. But the danger lies in the fact that the demons seek to hunt this child before they awaken, led by a demoness of terrifying power. According to the original story, the demons will invade the school at exactly 4 p.m., spreading chaos throughout the place. The incident was supposed to end with their extermination at the hands of Lee Seo-jun, which would be the natural flow of events. Sunwoo thought seriously, realizing that although this chapter of the story is small, it is full of fateful hints, and therefore decided he needed to watch the Child of Prophecy closely this time, not just Lee Seo-jun. In the training grounds, the instructor stood before the students to announce next week's schedule, adding that he had an important additional announcement. Voices of student complaints rose, demanding rest because exams were already exhausting them, while some joked with the teacher asking him to talk about his first love instead. The teacher laughed loudly, confirming enthusiastically that combat is training and training is combat. The teacher announced that in preparation for the midterm exams, all second-year students would participate in free sparring sessions over the next few days. Whispers prevailed among the students, while the teacher explained that if a student didn't find a partner, they were free to observe or train alone, and Sunwoo began looking around to assess the situation. Competitive spirit ignited in Lee Seo-jun's eyes, who seemed determined to prove himself this time, while Yu Ah-ra looked at him with similar defiance. Sunwoo watched them with relief, expecting the two to form a pair as in the original story, and felt happy he didn't initiate a move first. But soon he found himself standing alone in the middle of the arena as everyone formed teams except him, making him feel some embarrassment that no one stepped forward to ask for his partnership, admitting that it was very natural, for despite showing talent in theories and dispelling barriers, no one wants to be stuck with the school's last place holder as a training partner. Assuring himself that none of that mattered, because he had already made his decision regarding who his partner would be. His gaze shifted to a heated fight scene, where Lee Seo-jun took a heavy hit that made him stagger. Seo-jun wiped sweat from his face with a tense smile, commenting that it was close and he almost died. In front of him was Yu Ah-ra, surrounded by a terrifying fiery aura, asking him sharply if that was all he had, declaring that the first place would be hers from now on. Seo-jun warned her with a confident smile against getting ahead of events, while his energy began to glow in preparation for a response. The two rushed towards each other in a violent clash, as Seo-jun shouted that he wasn't done warming up yet. Yoon Ha-young was watching this amazing scene from a distant balcony, wondering in astonishment if these two were really Lee Seo-jun and Yu Ah-ra. The powers of the first and second-ranked students in the school collided, causing a massive explosion of energy and light. The observing Yoon Ha-young looked at her hand emitting a faint coldness, trying to convince herself not to be affected, but she admitted in secret that comparing herself to these true geniuses brought her nothing but a feeling of pity for herself. She remembered when students were talking about her, where one suggested Yoon Ha-young as a training partner, pointing out she was rank 82, but his colleague rejected the idea immediately and categorically. He justified the refusal by saying that despite her deep knowledge of theories, she was terrible at practical application, while Yoon Ha-young stood alone with sadness written on her face. While a teacher commented on her from afar, feeling sorry for students going through her situation, where their physical talent fails to keep up with their intelligence, but muttered that she was at least a kind person. Yoon Ha-young stood before the training dummy panting heavily, showing signs of exhaustion and frustration after her last failed attempt, biting her lip in suppression. Fragile ice shards fell to the ground and scattered powerlessly after hitting the wooden target, proving again that her magic lacked the required solidity and focus. She clenched her fist tightly, screaming inside herself, asking for the reason, and why it doesn't work no matter how much hard effort she puts into continuous training. Her thinking was interrupted by a calm voice criticizing the form of her ice manifestation, describing it as fragile, causing her to turn in shock towards the source of the voice. She saw Kim Sunwoo standing behind her with serious features, and soon recognized him in astonishment, calling his name. Sunwoo didn't stop there, but approached her, continuing his scathing criticism, pointing out that her ice wasn't cold enough, and her precision was terrible, proving her basics were weak in all aspects, while she listened to him with shock and extreme embarrassment. At that moment, Sunwoo realized deep down that this cruelty was his way of taking responsibility for his actions. In the original story, thanks to Lee Seo-jun's advice during the previous dungeon exploration, Yoon Ha-young was supposed to evolve and reach rank 6 by this time. But due to his interference and changing the course of events, she missed that opportunity, and her growth stopped, making him feel guilty towards his comrades. Sunwoo decided to help her grow in his own way, so he told her coldly that she was a complete mess right now, but if she followed him, he would ensure she could at least carry her weight in the team, confirming to himself the necessity of helping her even if he had to use this method. Ha-young didn't accept his words, but pointed at him angrily, accusing him of being that type of person. She interpreted his behavior as trying to destroy her self-esteem just because he didn't have the skill to back up his words and prove himself. Sunwoo replied with a provocative smile, asking if that was the truth, or if it was just a tantrum because she was unable to refute a single word he said. Ha-young knitted her brows in extreme anger as his words struck a sensitive chord. She pushed his shoulder sharply, expressing her disappointment, saying she thought he was a decent person during the dungeon exploration, but it seemed she was completely wrong about him. Sunwoo felt some anxiety, wondering if he had pressured her more than necessary, and tried to apologize, stuttering that maybe he went a little too far, but she interrupted him sharply. Magical energy glowed around her body as she announced her determination to settle the matter with a fight first, challenging him to see how cool the school's last place holder was. Sunwoo's eyes shone with happiness, for she had swallowed the bait exactly as he planned, and he accepted the challenge, enthusiastically asking her to attack. Sunwoo laughed confidently as ice shards launched towards him, passing by him without him being able to respond to them. Ha-young announced the start of the fight seriously, her eyes glowing with focus. Sunwoo dodged her successive attacks gracefully, as ice shards shattered on the ground where he stood a moment ago. Sunwoo noticed with a smile that her manifestation density changed as soon as she got serious, praising her level. But he soon returned to criticism, pointing out that her attack pattern was too simple, reminding her that the power of ice magic lies in utility and variety, provoking her to ask if he wanted to see a different pattern. She raised her hands high to summon a massive ice spear from above, screaming defiantly, "How about this?" Sunwoo looked up in astonishment. The huge spear crashed down with destructive force, causing a massive ice explosion that forced Sunwoo to jump away. Ha-young stood looking at her hands in astonishment and disbelief, for she suddenly executed the technique she failed to master no matter how much she trained. The huge ice wall remained a witness to her new power, while Sunwoo landed on the wall safely. Sunwoo looked at her, realizing that someone like her needs the proper stimulation to unleash potential abilities. He smiled with satisfaction, confirming to himself that provoking her was exactly the right solution, while she looked at him with a different gaze. Kim Sunwoo stood steadily atop a massive ice pillar, while Yoon Ha-young screamed at him angrily, asking how he planned to win by just running away. Sunwoo replied with provocative coldness, deducing from her anger that she didn't want to be his partner, while rushing towards her with all his might. And at that moment, he explained to her the weakness of mages specialized in manifestation, explaining that once the distance between them and the opponent is closed, taking them down becomes extremely easy. Sunwoo pounced on her with lightning speed, blocking her ice attack skillfully, while she tried to retreat in panic. Before she could cast another spell, he had already reached her, but stopped his attack at the last moment. Sunwoo announced the end of the match with a calm smile, while Ha-young looked at him in shock, unable to comprehend her rapid loss. Ha-young fell to the ground weakly, admitting her complete defeat. She raised her head towards him, and with a look full of seriousness and desperation, admitted that she might really need to learn magic from him. Sunwoo extended his hand to her, telling her gently that she didn't lack talent, but was only ignorant of how to direct that talent correctly, and he offered her help, asking if she wanted to undergo this experience with him. Ha-young looked at his outstretched hand, and remembered his words about unleashing her talent. She grabbed his hand tightly, announcing she would trust him just this once. A system window appeared announcing the addition of character Yoon Ha-young's interest in him, and her favorability rising to level 1, while she asked him to teach her well as her teacher. The scene shifted later to the start of training, where Sunwoo took out a small ice crystal, announcing that what they would do from now on is attribute adaptation training. He explained to her that all magic starts from adapting to the mage's own attribute, and explained that adaptation means in essence understanding the attribute deeply, which determines the ability to manifest and demonstrate magic. Sunwoo emphasized seriously that without these basics, her skills wouldn't evolve no matter how hard she trained. Ha-young said nervously that she knew theoretically what adaptation training was, but seemed worried about his method. Suddenly she found herself buried in a huge mountain of ice inside the hall, trembling from the biting cold, screaming that she had never heard of a training method like this before. Sunwoo stood laughing with a demonic smile, explaining that feeling the attribute with the body is the fastest and easiest way to learn, advising her to hurry up and adapt before the ice melts. In another dark and oppressive place, demonic energy was rising fearfully. Cheon-hae asked if everyone had gathered, to which his followers answered in the affirmative. A group of demons knelt before him, confirming they gathered active demons around the Magic Academy as ordered. Cheon-hae announced sternly that the time to find the child of prophecy and infiltrate the school had been set for next week. One follower explained that intelligence from the collaborator inside the school indicated security becomes lax during the midterm exam period. One demon smiled maliciously, announcing that the time had finally come, but the female follower interrupted him, wondering about Lord Ha-ryong's absence and lack of assistance. Cheon-hai answered with angry features that the matter failed, because Ha Ryong claimed he had a more important matter for the future of their race. The follower expressed deep concern, noting it was impossible to kill the child of prophecy, relying only on 4 B-rank demons. The other follower mocked her, calling her a fool, wondering if they really needed help to kill one child, while she scolded him that lax security wasn't everything, asking what he would do when scouts from all guilds flocked to the school, and asking sarcastically if he really thought he could handle it alone. Cheon-hae acknowledged the correctness of his followers' words, but corrected with a malicious smile, noting that the story differs completely if they detain those who might intervene in their plan. Suddenly, massive purple energy began to form around them, creating a huge barrier isolating the area from its surroundings, which they knew as the Great Demon Barrier. Cheon-hae stood proudly inside the barrier, granting them permission to attack and destroy as they pleased, confirming he would be by their side to support them, but emphasized sternly in the end on the ultimate goal, killing the child of prophecy. Meanwhile, inside the academy, Sunwoo continued training Ha Young, directing her to focus on the attribute first, then the form. He asked her to memorize the sensation with her entire body so she could imagine the ice even in his absence, and suddenly a perfect ice spear formed in her hand. Ha Young looked at the spear in astonishment, unable to believe she finally succeeded in mastering manifestation. She screamed with overwhelming joy, announcing she made an ice spear with her own power. Sunwoo smiled proudly, pointing out that her improvement in this amazing way after only a few days of training proves what he told her previously, that she possesses talent. A system window appeared announcing Yoon Ha Young's trust in him and receiving 1,500 points, while she cheered enthusiastically, calling him Teacher Kim Sunwoo, declaring she would believe everything he says from now on. But her enthusiasm soon turned into suffering, as she found herself buried to her neck in ice, while Sunwoo asked coldly if the situation was bearable. She tried to pretend to be strong, asking him to add more ice, but her red face and shivering betrayed her severe pain. Sunwoo encouraged her to endure a little, confirming all this was to help her grow, while Ha Young was shivering from cold and Sunwoo watching her seriously, promising himself to make her stronger so she could help the hero in the future. A student was watching the scene from the upper balcony in shock. Seo Yoon wondered in horror what on earth they were doing, and if it was possible this was bullying. She saw the scene from her perspective as excessive school violence that couldn't be ignored, and decided to report to the teachers immediately. But before she moved, teacher Lee Hui Young appeared behind them, commenting with a calm smile that seeing talented students grow is always a beautiful sight. Seo Yoon pointed down in panic to tell the teacher what was happening, but the teacher interrupted her calmly, confirming she knew what was going on, and that it was attribute adaptation training. The student was stunned and asked if this was really training, so the teacher confirmed she had been watching them since day one. The teacher explained that Ha Young, who developed her mana manifestation in a short time, is undoubtedly amazing, but what is truly surprising is the judgment of the student who understood the problem immediately and guided his friend to solve it. Seo Yoon asked in astonishment if she meant Sunbai Kim Sunwoo, to which her teacher replied with surprise about her knowing him. Seo Yoon got confused and denied personal knowledge, while the teacher whispered that she thought she only memorized the names of top students. The teacher advised Seo Yoon to memorize Sunwoo's name well, describing him as a talented person with high potential, despite Seo Yoon reminding her he currently holds the last place, adding that people only see final results and don't care how a person develops their skills. The teacher suggests she give him a chance to prove his skills. The teacher smiled confidently, saying she would look forward to the upcoming midterm exams. Meanwhile, Sunwoo stopped suddenly in front of the system screen, muttering that it was over. He was looking at a special discount ad on an item called Space-Time Pocket, a sub-pocket capable of storing up to 30 kilograms, discounted for a limited time. Sunwoo realized his desperate need for this item, as stored items can be summoned anywhere, making it extremely useful in combat and daily life, especially for hiding his weapons. Kim Sunwoo looked at the screen before him, admitting that the appearance of such an item in the special discount store is good, but there is a problem. The item was the Space-Time Pocket capable of storing 30 kilograms, offered at a 50% discount, making its price 20,000 points, while he only has 8,500 points currently. Sunwoo collapsed, crying, screaming in oppression, wondering why these discounts always happen at times when he has no points. He regained his composure and began calculating, realizing he needed to collect 11,500 points within 5 days and needed a guaranteed way to collect them. Suddenly, his phone rang with a notification from teacher Lee Hui Young, asking him to come to the faculty office immediately. He arrived at the office to find 3 students, Yu Ah-ra, Park In-hwan, and Kim Sunwoo. The teacher welcomed them, announcing they were selected for the Manifestation System Special Class for the 2nd year, an advanced class for students with high potential, regardless of grades. Sunwoo thought that Lee Seo-jun is in the Reinforcement System Special Class, meaning joining would enable him to interact with him more. Park In-hwan interrupted, raising his hand, announcing his categorical objection to Kim Sunwoo joining the special class. In-hwan pointed his finger at Sunwoo angrily, considering it unfair to be placed, him the 5th place holder, in the same group with a person holding the last place in school. In-hwan turned to Yu Ah-ra, asking her to say something too as the 2nd place holder. Yu Ah-ra replied coldly, asking why she should, adding that everyone should mind their own business regardless of who joins. In-hwan trembled with rage and embarrassment, muttering that this was why she had no friends. While the teacher asked Sunwoo about his opinion on his colleague's objection, Sunwoo answered with a confident smile, saying if rank was the problem, all he had to do was raise it then. The teacher agreed to his challenge, asking him to prove his skills in the midterm exam before joining the class. The scene shifted to the Coliseum arena. Sunwoo and Yoon Ha-young walked together, as she wondered in astonishment if reaching rank 80 or higher was even possible. He assured her that if they stuck to the plan it was completely possible, while she promised to follow his instructions. The second-year midterm exam was a cooperative battle, where a student allies with a partner to fight the summoned creature, Green Giant. Sunwoo explained it could be defeated immediately by targeting weak points represented by purple crystals, but their locations change and are hard to distinguish. He added that most students get good grades just by throwing their bodies to endure the enemy. He corrected himself, saying only true geniuses have cases where they completely eliminate the monsters. The battle began, and Sunwoo asked Ha-young to make a path for him, to which she agreed immediately. Ha-young released her ice magic powerfully to freeze the ground before them. Sunwoo skated quickly on the ice, while the Green Giant rushed towards them. Spectating students mocked him, remembering him as the person humiliated previously, wondering if he would suffer from mana depletion again. A system window appeared announcing that 254 people felt anticipation towards him, granting him 1,000 points, while he realized everyone expected his. Humiliation. Interloper benefits activated, showing purple weak points clearly on the giant's bodies before him. Sunwoo jumped in the air, his eyes radiating energy. Deciding he had no intention of playing the clown this time, he launched a barrage of precise and fast magic beams towards the giants. His attacks pierced the air, hitting targets accurately, while giants were rushing towards him. Kim Sunwoo looked at his hand still radiating magical energy, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face, telling himself things ended easier than expected. But that moment of relief didn't last long, as his features suddenly turned to shock and horror as he glimpsed something completely unexpected in the stands. He saw Cheon-hai, the attack mastermind and demon leader, looking at his watch coldly amidst the audience. And while Sunwoo was launching his final magic attack to finish the Green Giant, his mind was elsewhere entirely, trying to comprehend the disaster he was seeing. Sweat began pouring from his face as he thought in astonishment about the reason for the attack mastermind's presence at the school at this early time. According to the original story he knows, demons were supposed to begin their invasion of the school at exactly 4 p.m. after exams ended, causing widespread chaos and destructive explosions. His train of thought was interrupted by Yoon Ha-young's voice screaming in panic for him to watch out, warning him of the imminent danger. The Green Giant raised his huge club and brought it down with terrifying force towards the distracted Sunwoo. Sunwoo flew far away from the force of the impact. Ha-young used an ice spell to slow the monster's movement. Ha-young ran towards him, grabbing his shoulder, shaking him hard and screaming at him to regain consciousness and focus on the battle. But the giant didn't give them a chance to rest, rushing towards them again with intent to crush. Sunwoo regained focus in a fraction of a second and screamed at the monster to get lost, while gathering massive magical energy in his hand. He fired a concentrated and destructive magic beam that pierced the giant's body in an instant, ending its existence completely amidst everyone's astonishment. Comments ignited on the exam livestream, where students couldn't believe what they just saw, wondering in astonishment if this was really the last-place student. Some praised his true combat level, while others analyzed intelligently how he used the condensed manifestation technique to target the monster's weak point with extreme precision, admitting what happened wasn't just luck. In the stands, a strong student was watching with interest, commenting with admiration that friend seemed very capable and different from rumors. Crowd cheers rose in the Coliseum, as everyone expressed amazement at the match that exceeded all expectations, praising also the amazing level of the girl who fought beside him. Ha-young jumped with overwhelming happiness and hugged Sunwoo tightly, shouting that they succeeded, while he was still under the shock of what he saw, answering her absent-mindedly. Suddenly, system windows poured on him announcing 582 people remembered his face, receiving thousands of points as rewards, in addition to the interest of prominent figures like Kim Dae-hyun and Park In-hwan, feeling humiliated. But Sunwoo didn't care about all that, thinking the exam isn't what matters now. Sunwoo looked at the large wall clock in the arena to see the hands pointing to almost noon. His fears were confirmed when he saw Cheon-hae leaving the stands quietly, meaning events had completely deviated from the original work. Anxiety took over Sunwoo, wondering if his actions and interventions were what changed the original story's course in this radical way. He realized seriously that if the story course changed, the result of saving the school might change too and become unguaranteed, while the scoreboard appeared announcing Lee Seo-jun and Yu Ara's team getting first place, and Kim Sunwoo and Yoon Ha-young's team getting second place with a narrow margin. Ha-young noticed his pale face and heavy sweating, asking him anxiously if he was okay or if something was wrong. Sunwoo salvaged the situation quickly, painting a reassuring smile on his face, claiming he was just a little tired. He told her he would go rest in the training hall first to review some notes, while she started blaming herself, thinking she made a mistake during the exam, causing his distress. Sunwoo interrupted her firmly and gently, asking her to trust herself more, then looked directly into her eyes, saying honestly, "You were perfect today." Ha-young's face turned red from his frank compliment, and she thanked him with a shy and happy smile. Sunwoo bid her farewell, asking her to get some good rest, and assured her not to worry about training if she felt tired. Once she disappeared from his sight, his smile faded and was replaced by a serious and anxious look, thinking about the next step now that the timeline of events twisted and the future became unknown. Kim Sunwoo stood watching the arena with a scrutinizing eye, telling himself the necessity of checking how far events deviated from the original story. He muttered that if the plot was still on track, something should happen now, and suddenly he glimpsed Lee Seo-jun amidst the crowds. Seo-jun was completely surrounded by guild representatives who rushed towards him with their cards and tempting offers, as the Northwest Guild representative screamed begging him to join, while the Heimdall representative swore he wouldn't move a step until Seo-jun agreed to join their guild. Voices rose and offers overlapped, as one female employee raised a banner expressing her love for him, while another offered a ticket for a luxury apartment and an instant gift upon joining Sigma Guild, describing him as King Seo-jun. Seo-jun tried to evade them with a tense smile, explaining politely that he was only 18 years old and thus not old enough to join any guild yet. But the representatives did not give up and insisted he at least take their business cards to contact them later, besieging him from every side. Nearby, someone was watching this frantic scene, as one scout commented to his colleague that he had abandoned observing the third-year exams just to come and watch Lee Seo-jun. Suddenly, another voice called out looking for Kim Sun-woo, informing him that Mr. Jang An-chol was looking for him to discuss a matter regarding his grades. The scouts turned towards Sun-woo, and whispers began to circulate among them about the student occupying the last place in the entire school, yet they acknowledged that his performance was stable and his growth curve looked very promising. Seo-jun noticed what Sun-woo intended at that moment. Seo-jun seized the opportunity and ran quickly, breaking through the crowd, apologizing that he couldn't keep the teacher waiting and promised to listen to their offers at a later time. The scouts were disappointed by his escape, grumbling about the lost opportunity after being on the verge of catching him, and finally decided to go monitor the rest of the third-year exams instead of wasting time. On the other side, Jong Hyun-soo, the agent in the anti-terrorism special forces, asked his commander if Lee Seo-jun's fighting was good in his eyes. Commander Kim Daeok-hyun answered calmly that the performance wasn't bad. Jong Hyun-soo recalled that Seo-jun's skills were befitting of being the third disciple of Chairman Kim Jin-chul, known as the strongest mage, but the commander corrected himself with an analytical look, noting that Seo-jun was still green and lacked real combat experience, which made Hyun-soo joke that he was already evaluating him as if he were part of the special forces, reminding him that they were only here to present a recruitment offer for after graduation. The commander asked him to be quiet and asked why he came with him in the first place, to which Hyun-soo replied with a cheerful smile that he regretted not being able to chat with him during the Han River Demon incident. The commander sighed, thinking about the word experience, and commented that if Lee Seo-jun had been the one fighting the demon back then, he might have gained that practical experience he lacks. Then he suddenly changed the subject, asking Hyun-soo for his opinion on the student who came in last place, Kim Sun-woo, praising his amazing combat sense that was hard to believe came from a student at the bottom of the rankings. The commander explained with a piercing look that what Sun-woo did wasn't just instinct, but an innate talent for instantly dissecting the target's weak points. He emphasized seriously that this ability is something that cannot be refined except through long and arduous experience. The two laughed sarcastically, wondering where an 18-year-old student would get that kind of deep experience, describing the idea as just a joke. But suddenly, Commander Kim Daeok-hyun's features changed as if he remembered something important, linking in his mind the student Lee Seo-jun and the mysterious mage Kim Jin-woo, who appeared in the river incident. He muttered to himself in astonishment, thinking it was still very strange for an 18-year-old youth to be able to use the compressed manifestation technique with such proficiency, while Hyun-soo decided at that moment that he must remember the name Kim Sun-woo well. In a quiet corner away from sight, Seo-jun and Sun-woo sat on the stairs, where Seo-jun thanked his colleague gratefully, admitting he would have been stuck there forever without his intervention. Seo-jun asked him why he wanted to return here where all these people are, so Sun-woo answered that it was good to take an early look at the exam they would undergo next year. Seo-jun expressed his worry that the scouts would corner them again, but Sun-woo reassured him that the scouts had all headed to the seats reserved with the teachers, and that they had entered from a separate entrance and wouldn't encounter them. Sun-woo looked at Seo-jun in deep thought, realizing his colleague didn't want to be categorized within the first place in the school. Seo-jun agreed with him, suggesting they settle for watching quietly so as not to be discovered, and while they were watching the arena, Sun-woo thought to himself that the timeline of events had indeed twisted now. Sun-woo remembered his past life, where the demon attack began at the third-year exam site, as it was easy for them to communicate with the internal mole to execute their scheme. Meanwhile, Kim Sun-woo was watching the situation cautiously, thinking he didn't know exactly when the attack would begin, and therefore decided he had to keep Lee Seo-jun tied down inside the exam hall while he took on the task of finding Cheon-hae himself. Sun-woo looked at Seo-jun sitting beside him, convinced that this was the simplest and fastest way to protect the child of prophecy as well, and then Seo-jun asked him if anything happened after his exam. Seo-jun inquired if he meant the scouts, to which he replied with a reassuring smile that it was fine and this happens all the time. Sun-woo replied he was glad he was okay. Sun-woo felt deep relief, telling himself that the original plot was still intact and hadn't been affected by his interventions so far. The duel launched in the arena, announcing the start of the exams. Outside, a disguised figure noticed the scouts entering the third-year exam hall, confirming the matter matched the internal mole's information perfectly. Cheon-hae asked coldly about the progress of the rest of the plan. His assistant answered him, revealing a hidden bag among the bushes, confirming that monster summoning circles had been hidden in every corner of the school as ordered. She added that since the monstrous Jinsen would go berserk upon seeing humans, he had been placed in a secluded area where no one goes. Cheon-hae praised the work of his follower Yang Hyun, which went like clockwork, while the assistant attributed all credit to the directives of her master, Cheon-hae. Cheon-hae held a glowing energy orb, announcing in a voice filled with evil that the time had come to begin hunting the child of prophecy. Suddenly, a bolt of magical energy pierced the arena floor, causing shock and panic among the students. As a female student screamed in pain, student Park Min-yi announced her immediate surrender and withdrawal from the match due to the sudden danger. For the referee to announce Kim Chang-hyun's victory in the final match, Lee Seo-jun cheered with intense enthusiasm, expressing his great enjoyment watching the third-year exam. He praised the skills of Sunbae Kim Chang-hyun, which he considered a model example of manifestation magic, and the disciplined movements of Sunbae Park Min-yi, while Sunwoo was looking around with anxiety and tension. Sunwoo was scanning the crowds with his eyes throughout the match, but found no trace of Cheon-hae, making him wonder suspiciously about what was happening. Seo-jun noticed his anxiety and asked whom he was looking for. Sunwoo salvaged the situation, claiming he was only checking if there were any guilds looking to recruit him, so Seo-jun laughed, reassuring him he would definitely get an offer from somewhere. Sunwoo looked at Seo-jun thinking about the massive growth this hero achieved compared to the beginning of the semester. Seo-jun asked his colleague curiously about the type of training he did to get that amazing power. Suddenly, a strange buzzing sound began to fill the place, and Sunwoo's features changed to shock. His eyes widened in horror, realizing that what was happening now was impossible, for this event never happened in his previous life. Students began wondering in panic about the reason for a barrier suddenly appearing, and if they messed something up in the school, demanding the teachers be summoned. Confusion prevailed among everyone about whether there was an accident, while the hidden bag outside began to glow. The bag opened, emitting dark energy, and ominous black portals opened everywhere. A malicious smile appeared on Cheon-hae's face as he ordered the attack. Hordes of monsters and goblins streamed from the portals, attacking students brutally, as cries for help and terror rose throughout the place. Sirens went off, and the system announced a monster invasion of the school, demanding students and outsiders evacuate immediately to the safe zone, while a huge purple barrier covered the entire school, isolating it from the outside world. Cheon-hae stood with a malicious smile in front of the huge barrier, proud of his plan's success, as teachers, scouts, and powerful mages were completely isolated inside the barrier, making the arena free of any real threat to him. He stomped his foot on the ground confidently while hordes of goblins gathered behind him, announcing coldly that in the absence of any rescue, the child of prophecy would have no choice but to reveal their identity to face the danger. But suddenly, a sharp red flash cut through the air, interrupting his speech and surprising him from behind, as signs of shock and astonishment appeared on Cheon-hae's face, who didn't expect this attack. Two men in formal suits appeared, Kim Daeok-hyun, holding a huge red spear, and Jong-hyun-soo, holding a sword, having exterminated the monsters surrounding the place in a single moment, announcing the arrival of the special forces. A state of astonishment and relief prevailed among the students present outside, who cheered, unable to believe the special forces had come to their rescue. It turned out these elites were originally there to watch Lee Seo-jun's match, and here they were now forming an impenetrable defense line to repel the monster attack and save people. Kim Sun-woo watched the scene, guessing that team leader Kim Daeok-hyun was the one leading this force, and a teacher turned to Lee Seo-jun to reassure him, telling him they would join them as soon as the barrier was lifted, and asked him not to be afraid and trust his teacher. Sun-woo thought to himself that the addition of the special forces might turn the tables in their favor, but he realized one problem still remained. Sun-woo contemplated the towering purple barrier encasing the school, wondering how to remove this huge obstacle isolating them from the real battle. Meanwhile, a student was banging on the barrier with his fist desperately, screaming for help from the mages, and cursing his luck for not being inside the stadium at the time of the attack. Support teacher Kim Yoon-jin intervened seriously, explaining that lifting the barrier immediately required the presence of another A-rank support mage, but she expressed her despair at the lack of anyone with these specifications among them, as high-ranking support mages are very rare. She shouted at the crowds, asking them to look harder, warning that doing it alone would take her 30 minutes, which is too long for those trapped inside. Sun-woo heard the duration and felt anxious, realizing that holding out for 30 minutes against those monsters was nearly impossible, and that if it took all that time, lifting the barrier would be meaningless. Sun-woo remembered Cheon-hae's power, admitting his barrier skills were world-class. He recalled the events of the original novel, where even the hero, Lee Seo-jun, couldn't defeat him except through a surprise attack, confirming the impossibility of breaking the barrier by traditional methods. Sun-woo decided he had no choice but to intervene himself, and began moving forward. But suddenly, a female voice interrupted, offering help, as a young woman appeared introducing herself as Yang Young-eun, an A-rank support mage, claiming she was luckily nearby. The woman smiled confidently, saying she would solve everything, but Sun-woo recognized her immediately. She is the disguised Yang Hyun. Sun-woo stopped in his tracks, realizing that exposing her identity as a demon at this moment would only arouse suspicion towards him and wouldn't solve the problem. Yang Hyun began activating her magic, asking teacher Kim Yoon-jin to support her to lift the barrier, so the teacher agreed gratefully. Magic circles began glowing around them, and it seemed to everyone that the barrier lifting process was proceeding smoothly. Students breathed a sigh of relief, thinking the teachers found a solution and they would get out soon, but Sun-woo replied in the negative. He grabbed Lee Seo-jun's arm tightly and pulled him, ordering him to follow immediately because he would explain later. At that moment, teacher Kim Yoon-jin felt something strange in the mana flow. She realized with shock that while she was trying to lift the barrier from one side, it was being locked with double tightness from the other side. Her eyes widened in horror, discovering the truth. The barrier wasn't being lifted, but strengthened and made more solid. Cheon-hae, noticed what was happening, praising in secret the intelligence of the support teacher who discovered the trick. Cheon-hae looked towards them, deciding he needed to draw some attention to ruin Yang Hyun's plan, so he made a subtle hand movement. Suddenly, the goblin monsters went berserk and attacked the group present inside the barrier. Chaos pervaded the place, and the rest of the monsters rushed in the direction of Yang Young-eun. A red beam of energy swooped down to decimate one of the monsters attacking the students, as Kim Dae-hyun intervened at the right moment to save the situation amidst the total chaos. Kim Dae-hyun turned towards the student he saved, asking her condition, so the student Yang Young-eun replied thanking him because she survived thanks to him. While the battle continued, Kim Dae-hyun focused his gaze towards the barrier, noticing something suspicious in the energy flow, where the mage claimed to lift the barrier but was actually manipulating it from inside and outside simultaneously. The fight intensified, and Kim Dae-hyun and Jong Hyun-soo found themselves amidst a group of goblins, fighting side by side to repel the attack. Jong Hyun-soo was almost cut by the commander's attack, but the commander alerted him jokingly that if he allowed himself to get swept away like this, he should return the Special Forces badge he carries. Jong Hyun-soo smiled confidently, reassuring Yang Hyun he would protect the honor of the Special Forces, while the disguised mage Yang Hyun watched them with a mysterious look. The mage thanked them with a sly smile, appreciating their efforts in protecting her while continuing her act. Sun-woo pulled his colleague Seo-jun away from the main gate, reaching a secluded area behind the exam building, so Seo-jun asked him in astonishment why they came here. Sun-woo explained seriously that the place was empty of people, and he would lift the barrier from here, puzzling Seo-jun, who asked about the lifting process happening at the front gate. Sun-woo dropped the shocking bombshell, telling him that the support mage called Yang Young-eun is actually a demon, and she is pretending to lift the barrier while actually strengthening it. Seo-jun was shocked by what he heard, and shouted they must tell people this truth immediately. But Sun-woo stopped him, explaining it was just suspicion currently, and there was no physical proof to back his words. Seo-jun argued that Sun-woo received an offer for the special class due to his ability to lift barriers, thus he could prove it. Sun-woo replied realistically that there was no guarantee people would believe him amidst this chaos. Sun-woo explained his plan intelligently, saying when he lifts the barrier, Seo-jun must go and tell the people. He explained his point of view that everyone would believe the matter if the warning came from a world-famous genius like Lee Seo-jun, not just an ordinary student like him. Seo-jun grasped the idea and agreed, then asked Sun-woo if he was truly capable of lifting the barrier. Sun-woo answered confidently they would try first, and began approaching the barrier while Seo-jun stood guard. Sun-woo placed his hands on the barrier, and his special ability, Interloper Benefits, began to work, as the system started interpreting the complex magic formula of the barrier. Cracks began to appear in the massive barrier, and at that moment the demoness Yang Hyun felt overwhelming shock, realizing the great demon barrier was being breached. The magical barrier shattered forcefully, creating a huge boom, and shards scattered in the air, announcing Sun-woo's success in breaking it. Sun-woo looked at his hands coldly, commenting simply that it wasn't anything special, while Seo-jun looked at him in astonishment. Sun-woo urged his colleague to hurry and go solve the case, but Seo-jun stopped him to ask one thing before going. Seo-jun asked curiously why he tried to hide his achievements, noting it would be good for him too to have his skills recognized. Sun-woo smiled calmly, answering that this much was enough for him, and he didn't seek more fame, and he asked Seo-jun for a final request, which was to keep everything that happened here a secret between them. On the other side, the demon leader was scolding Yang Hyun with extreme anger, calling her a helpless fool because she couldn't maintain a single barrier. Yang Hyun defended herself in panic, confirming she was double-locking it, wondering in astonishment who could break it, while standing next to the exhausted teacher. Suddenly, the male and female teachers advanced, and members of the special forces led by Kim Dae-hyun advanced to announce they would take it from here. Kim Dae-hyun launched with his long spear, piercing through monster ranks with incredible speed and power. Jang An-chol was decimating goblins with crushing blows, showing combat skills of a completely different level. At the same time, teacher Lee Hui-young released destructive thunderbolts that knocked down another group of monsters. Teacher Jang An-chol praised the precision of teacher Lee Hui-young's attacks, while she returned the compliment praising the power of his attacks, which remained as he knew them. Moments later, the area was completely cleared of monsters, and teachers thanked the special forces for their help, which enabled ending the matter quickly, to which the commander replied humbly, it was their honor. Jong Hyun-soo stood in the middle of the square with serious features, pointing out that the mastermind behind this attack might be hiding anywhere, so they must regroup and search for him first before anything else. But teacher Kim Yoon-jin advanced with angry steps, announcing she knew nothing about the mastermind, but there was one person arousing her suspicion and doubt in a way that couldn't be ignored. With a sudden and violent movement, Yoon-jin grabbed the collar of mage Yang Hyun forcefully and asked her in a voice filled with anger and accusation what exactly she did when she claimed to be breaking the barrier. Jang An-chol tried to intervene to calm Yoon-jin, but she screamed in everyone's face, pointing her finger at Yang Hyun and warning that woman might be a demon, shocking the attendees who considered her accusation exaggerated, especially since Yang Hyun ostensibly helped lift the barrier. Whispers began spreading among students and teachers, condemning teacher Yoon-jin's harsh behavior towards someone who offered help, wondering how a teacher could behave in this rude manner. Special Forces Commander Kim Dae-hyun watched the situation silently with his deputy, and when the deputy asked if they should intervene, the commander answered calmly and cautiously, "Not yet." Yang Hyun exploited the situation with malicious intelligence, smiling slyly and justifying her delay in breaking the barrier by saying she had to slow her pace to match the terrible skills of teacher Yoon Jin, increasing the teacher's rage. But suddenly, student Lee Seo-jun intervened in the conversation, directing his words to teacher Yoon Jin and confirming her observation, pointing out that every time they tried to break the barrier became doubly closed and strong instead of opening. Students turned in astonishment towards Seo-jun, wondering why he was here when he was supposed to be at the third-year exam site. Teacher Yoon Jin asked student Seo-jun eagerly how he knew that, so he answered with complete seriousness that he sensed something wrong in the barrier's composition and how it worked. At that moment, Seo-jun remembered Kim Sun-woo's request to keep the matter secret and felt distressed for having to lie, but justified his stance before everyone that he possessed knowledge of basic theories of how magical barriers worked. Doubts began to seep into the souls of the attendees after Seo-jun's testimony, and students began whispering about Yang Hyun's identity, as one suggested checking if there was an A-rank support mage by this name in the records. An employee checked immediately via his phone, and his features changed to shock, while Yang Hyun realized her cover was blown, muttering a curse as she communicated mentally with her master Cheon-hae, asking him what to do now. The reply came from Cheon-hae with complete coldness, ordering her to do what she must, while a dark and terrifying aura began emitting from his body, revealing his true nature before everyone. Special Forces Commander Kim Daeok-hyun realized immediately that this man was the demon leader, so he shouted at his men to arrest him and launched himself, dealing a powerful blow with his spear. Cheon-hae avoided the attack, hiding in the shadows, making the Special Forces deputy realize they were facing an A-rank demon, commenting anxiously that things were starting to get out of control. Meanwhile, Yang Hyun realized the mission might fail, so she decided to execute the backup plan, and her gaze turned with murderous intent towards Lee Seo-jun. Yang Hyun's body suddenly transformed into a huge muscular monster, and other people transformed into demons, beginning to attack students brutally, sparking panic and chaos in the place, and students screamed. The demoness focused all her anger and attack, determined to kill as many humans as possible before her death, and rushed with her destructive fist towards Lee Seo-jun, who stood in her path. Before her fist reached him, the air split with a flashing sword glint, and blood flew everywhere, as the demoness's head and body were severed with a single precise and fatal blow. Lee Seo-jun appeared standing coldly over the demoness's body, holding his blood-stained sword, and said in a sarcastic tone, directing his words to the dead monster, that she had come to the wrong place. The battle calmed down, and bodies of demons and monsters appeared scattered in the arena, while teachers and students stood catching their breath after the nightmare ended. Lee Seo-jun bowed respectfully to Special Forces Commander Kim Daeok-hyun, thanking him for his help, to which the commander returned the greeting, noting it had been a full year since their last meeting at the chairman's house. The commander praised Seo-jun, predicting a bright future for him as a great mage, and asked him to come later to receive his reward for hunting demons, while Seo-jun thanked him with humility and confusion. But deep down, Seo-jun looked towards the direction Kim Sun-woo went, realizing the truth missed by everyone, which is that the person deserving true thanks and appreciation is Sun-woo, who saved him and acted at the decisive moment. Suddenly, Sun-woo took off running at maximum speed, muttering a curse as if he remembered something catastrophic he had overlooked. Sun-woo saw a massive fiery explosion nearby, and his eyes widened in horror, screaming, "No!" Amidst the raging fire, student Yu Ah-ra stood surrounded by an aura of flame, while Sun-woo realized the shocking truth, that she is the child of prophecy the demons are looking for. Jinsun stood before her, and looked at her coldly, saying to Yu Ah-ra, second year at Magic Academy, second rank, that this was disappointing, announcing an imminent and dangerous confrontation. The demon stood before Yu Ah-ra with a sarcastic smile, wondering dismissively if this was the maximum the genius supposed to rival Lee Seo-jun could do. He continued provoking her, implying she might not be showing her true power because she was restricted by the presence of a burden with her, pointing with his gaze to the frightened Ha-young behind her, while she looked at him in shock and anxiety. The scene went back a little, where Yu Ah-ra was training with her friend peacefully, before this demon appeared suddenly with a group of goblins to launch a surprise attack. Ha-young tried to intervene to help Yu Ah-ra, activating her magic and declaring her desire to fight beside her instead of standing and watching. But Yu Ah-ra interrupted her firmly, asking her not to stand in her way and just run, while she began gathering a huge fireball between her hands. Yu Ah-ra unleashed a sweeping fire attack, insisting she would handle this enemy alone. However, the demon dodged the attack with complete ease, appearing in front of her in the blink of an eye, mocking the weakness of her attack. Realizing at that moment she wasn't the person he was looking for, the demon clamped his hand on Yu Ah-ra's neck, lifting her high, noting her blood contained strong magical power, but confirmed confidently she couldn't resist him. Yu Ah-ra began choking and losing consciousness gradually, unable to breathe under the weight of his iron grip. Suddenly, sharp magical shards launched towards the demon, forcing him to use his arm to block the attack. It was Ha-young who launched the attack, standing bravely despite her fear, demanding he let go of Yu Ara and declaring she was his opponent now. The demon threw Yu Ara to the ground indifferently, commenting sarcastically on the touching friendship scene he saw before him. Then he advanced towards the girl, gathering terrifying dark energy in his hand, wondering with contempt what she thought she was capable of doing with her level. The girl realized deep down she had no chance of winning against this monster, but she screamed with determination and persistence that she couldn't run and leave her friend behind, and began releasing her ice magic with all her might. She managed to inflict a deep wound on the demon, making him scream in pain, and the demon noticed with horror that his wounds weren't healing, while the demon muttered in astonishment, sensing the nature of the power she just released. Ha Young looked at her hands in shock, wondering why her magic didn't turn into ice, but felt her magical energy draining at an abnormal speed, then fell to the ground from exhaustion. The demon's eyes widened with a beastly smile, realizing the truth, announcing he had finally found his goal, the child of prophecy, the mage born with the power to destroy demons. He extended his dark hand towards Ha Young, lying on the ground, vowing to kill her with his own hands right now. But before his hand reached her, a firm voice interrupted, saying this wouldn't happen, and Kim Sunwoo intervened at the decisive moment, standing between the demon and the girl, confirming that the child of prophecy is a very important person and cannot be allowed to die. Sunwoo activated the Heart of Great Nature trait for a strong blue aura to radiate around him and smiled confidently, telling the demon that he was the only one who would die in this place.